Good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to Movie Watch Live. And tonight we'll be watching probably the best spaghetti western ever made, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Joining me tonight, I am the Mac. We have the ugly and lucky Flash, also known as Ralph and Elrodimus Flash. Good evening, lads. What did you think of the intro?
Oh, I like that. Very nice.
Amazing.
Yeah,
We're
sets
coming
the
up in the
mood
world.
well. There you go, man.
It feels so classy.
I feel like diamonds. So we've got Brian, the observer, in the chat. Good evening, Brian. And we've also got Philip Blair as well. Aloha. Aloha. And also got Falling to Destiny. Good evening, Falling to Destiny. Hello. And yeah, so tonight we're going to be looking at this movie because we've recently obviously had the news that Ennio Morricone has passed on, probably one of the most famous movie soundtrack composers ever, who did the music for almost all of the most famous spaghetti western movies that we have. And what a great man of cinema, and one of my favorite composers, and we have to do a tribute stream to him, which is why we're doing this tonight. And it almost didn't happen. We had some technical issues, so sorry for being late, everybody. But it's great to see you here. Hope you are doing well, fellas. Yep, I hope you're doing well as well, Falling to Destiny. And Brian says, I've been on such a western kick. I bought a revolver. Well, that's nice. I can't actually do that, Brian. I'm not allowed guns in my country.
I've got a special care package coming for you. The UK Postal Service may be asking some questions.
All right, it's just funny shape.
Nothing.
It's a funny shaped potato peeler.
Well, it's from Texas. I've got a license.
I've got a license. It's a Texan potato peeler. Okay, it shoots the skin off. So Brian said, "R.I.P. Ennio Morricone." I agree, Brian. Rest in peace, indeed. Because what a fantastic legacy the man has left us. So many wonderful, wonderful compositions and soundtracks of so many great movies. And therefore, let's just say aloha, Philip. People are just saying hello to each other. Definitely the most famous composer for westerns, says Philip. I agree, absolutely, definitely the most. I mean, there are some others, but I can't think of any off the tip of my tongue. And I bought another revolver today too. That's great. Just rub it in. Just rub it in.
Nice.
You know, just rub it in.
Now, hold on, Pete. Are you thinking of the famous Western composer Danny Elfman? I mean, he's written some great Western themes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, before the show, we were talking about the fact that I looked at an article, and there's literally reams and reams of different soundtracks that Ennio did especially during the 60s. But I mean, the famous ones are the trilogy of Fistful of Dollars, Few Dollars More, and this, which is the last of the three trilogy, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. But he also did Once Upon a Time in the West, which is really famous. But he did Once Upon a Time in America as well. He did The Mission, one of my favorites. He did The Untouchables, Cinema Paradiso. So a lot of different soundtracks. So any thoughts, gentlemen, about Ennio Morricone before we start the stream?
Just a fantastic composer, and like all great composers, the music not only sets the mood, but basically acts as a character within the story, helping to narrate. And I think it really hits the mark in this movie.
Absolutely. I
feel like this was where that started. Like, he's really
definitely
one of the people that pioneered that.
All I can
think of is like before this would be like the Bond movies.
Yeah, so like
where each character has a specific sound,
has a specific motto. Yeah, I mean,
before that, it was like music was just sort of like in the background for mood setting, and not at all.
Yeah, I mean, he brought everything that was in classical music into the genre, didn't he? Because like themes for different characters is as old as the hills in classical music. But I mean, he did that, and even like taking sounds and making them into themes, like the coyote sound, and that we all like to do. Anybody want to do a why? Yeah.
Yeah.
Wah, wah, wah.
Mine sounds like Mama's washing machine falling off the porch again.
Oh man! So yeah, I mean, he totally changed the game, didn't he? And I also have to apologize. I'm a little bit late because I was making a chili. So, and it was delicious, I have to say. By the way.
Oh well, you didn't share with me.
I didn't. No, I just shared with Levi and Cleef. So
he approves.
Who is the bard in this movie? In case anybody didn't know already. So, Ralph's decided to take it upon himself to call himself the Ugly.
Well,
I didn't do that to him.
Yeah, look at this luxurious mane of red hair, and true, the mustache is glorious, but the mullet is gone.
Oh, some very quick points in the chat there. You need a saddle, right, Brendan? There's a horse boots and a brimmed hat. I would love to have been a cowboy. Tell you that. But yeah, most of those things are illegal in my country.
Well, when you cross the border into Texas, you're required to put spurs on. So
that's good.
Yeah, stay legal.
There we go.
Basketball games sound wild, man.
Philip Blair brings up a good point, actually. That when I was talking about programmatic language, you've got themes for different people and characters. It's Prokofiev's Peter and the Wolf did that, and fantastic piece of music there. And Jessica saying, "No worries, Pete. Chili is worth it. Chili's always worth it.
It's only worth it if he shares with me."
Do you know what? It's probably one of the most gorgeous comfort food ever. I thank God for the Mexicans because they brought us some of the best food in the world, including avocados.
No, avocados are evil. Evil, evil, evil. It's the devil's nut.
Oh, thanks, Lady K. Oh, I gave up on you guys.
Hey,
well, we didn't give up on you. Thanks for coming in. I mean, hey, it's like 3:45 in the morning where I live, so I'm glad you're here. So, I tell you, Peter the Wolf, Opus 67, Symphotic Freighter. Yes. Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah, it was actually composed. He was hoping that Disney would make it into a motion picture. I think there is a Disney animation for it as well.
There is. Well, is it? Yeah, it's Disney.
Yeah,
I know there is an animation with that, and it's beautiful because I remember one of the few pieces where I believe it's a bassoon is a prevalent instrument.
Yeah, it's a grandfather, I think, that instrument, the bassoon. Anyway, we're getting off topic now, gentlemen. We're going into the rouse for this Ennio Morricone.
Me about avocados, man. Oh, chat. You never win against the chat.
Bless. So, so very quickly, Ennio Morricone, one of the greatest composers for film music of the 20th century. He was 91 when he died in Rome, Italy. He was born in 10th of November 1928 in Rome, so he born and died in Rome. And he's written music for all sorts of movies. I didn't know this as well. You didn't know this either, Flash, did you? You did the soundtrack for The Thing. So even horror movies he did soundtrack music for. I think we've lost Flash.
No, I'm still here.
All right.
Okay. I was gonna say, get a stick, poke him.
No, I think
loading my revolver.
I think Flash is now thinking about making chili burritos. That's what it is. So,
chili done.
Hey, give me a chili.
Gold.
So, what we're gonna do then? I mean, it would be unfair of us to not put this link in the chat. But I don't think it works in America. But you're welcome to have a look there, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to go there. That is actually on YouTube. They haven't taken it down yet. So that is the link for the movie on YouTube, which is strange because YouTube often takes people down for copyright issues, but strangely, that's there right now. But it might not work in your It's blocked here, says Kismet. Okay, well, fair enough.
Yeah.
Right, we're gonna get started then. But before we get started, I just want to quickly ask, in general, what do you know about this movie already? In general, what is it you like about this movie?
Just the atmosphere and the build for it for me. You know, as far as the movie knowledge, you know, the behind the scenes and stuff, I don't know much about.
Yeah.
But you know, just the character of the man with no name, just kind of the mysterious background in they don't feel the need to go through and say, oh, here's his tragic backstory. No, he's just a guy that comes in.
Yeah.
He's, you know, quote unquote, the good guy, but, you know, he's kind of, exactly.
The goodest out of the three.
Yeah, he's good-ish. So,
yeah. Well, this is the thing, isn't it? You don't get to hear any of their backstories at all, really. You get a little bit of Tuco's backstory, don't you? You find out that his brother's a priest, and the sort of background a little bit, but you definitely never get to see what Blondie, what his backstory is. But yeah, what's this? Jessica? I saw the ending on Back to the Future 2. Yeah, that's something. It's funny, isn't it? Because that movie, Biff Tannen's playing the clips, isn't he, while he's in his hot tub with his ladies. Remember that? Bulletproof vest. It's a clip from A Fistful of Dollars.
Oh, I'd forgotten about that. Okay,
yeah.
I got it. Yeah. Just went with the family and saw Back to the Future. Now that we have theaters again,
what kind of system is that?
Yes, exactly.
What kind of moccasins are wearing there, boy?
What's
so I gotta go. Is that Indian?
Yeah, I gotta drag out number 2 and number 3 again and get back up to speed on them.
There you go. So let's get started. So we're gonna. It's a 3-hour-long movie. It's a long one. So if people want to join in and watch along with us and see what we've got to say about the movie, that's the purpose of what we're here doing tonight. And we're just here to have a good time, really, enjoying watching one of the best movies ever. Not just one of the best spaghetti westerns, one of the best movies ever. So, as usual, what we'll do is we'll start with a countdown. And tonight, in honor of the genre we're watching, I'll say draw at the end, and I'll go 3, 2, 1, draw. And on the count of draw, you gotta get your movie started.
All right,
so don't be firing your six shooter around the house. It's not good.
All right, let me get my crayons ready. I'm ready to draw.
Because Matty says, "I'm not going to make it." Hey, listen, I'm the one who's 6 hours ahead. I'll be still doing this when the sun's up and the milkman's dropping the milk off and everything. What are you doing there, Mister? Oh, I'm doing the live stream.
Watching the time.
You got a license for that?
You got it, exactly. Wrong movie, I don't know. But, yeah, we're going to be watching Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Jessica. So, you're welcome to fall asleep if you want to. Don't worry about that. We won't be, or I won't be, at least because I've got some beers here to keep me awake. So let's get started. So if everybody's got their copy of the movie ready, ready to go, we'll get started. And on the count of 3 to 1 draw, we'll synchronize them and get them started. And throughout, we'll give you an indication of where we are, and we'll give you a timestamp. But we'll not only timestamp, we'll just say, describe what's happening so you can catch up with where we are in the movie. So, ready, gentlemen?
Ready.
Yep.
Okay.
Jim Lyon, right?
Yep.
I'm just gonna go. Remember the watch in a few dollars more. Cling, 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 cling. When the watch stops, you try to shoot me. You just try. Colonel. So, ready? So, let's do it. 3, 2, 1, draw. So I've got the roaring lion.
I'm coming in on the eye. The lion's coming up. Roar. Second roar.
I've actually found another one with a slightly different beginning that might work.
Oh, we'll share it out.
I put it in the chat. It just goes straight in with the normal line.
Cartoon Horse, the movie.
Film produced by Alberto.
I love the names, by the way. You know, if you're Italian, your name either ends in an O or an I.
Oh, yeah.
Every time.
Yeah, Italian buddy of mine pointed it out to me years ago. He's like, yeah, if your name ends in a vowel, you're probably Italian.
If it ends in a vowel, you have to change it to run for office.
Well, yeah.
Just because I'm beginning to realize that I haven't seen many movies. Well, I don't know.
That's what you run into hanging out with us.
Yeah,
the good, the bad, and Ralph.
Luigi Pistilli, Radar. Oh, there's a Russian. The second name Enzo Petito, Benito Stefanelli, Angelo Novi.
Benito.
Oh gosh! Now I've got.
I do not think it means what you think it means.
Benito in green, attorney at law.
Luciano Vincenzoni, Sergio Leone.
See now,
Diani.
Pete, you're making me go to heel versus baby face and then power girl reviews. Hey, Mama, I'm making some Pop-Tarts over here.
What's that scene from the Goonies where he's trying to speak Italian? Fettuccine.
Oh yeah.
How about tongue?
Yes, we only serve tongue here.
The music by Ennio Morricone. So Ennio Morricone, made the sound of the spaghetti western, didn't he? And Hateful Eight, when Hateful Eight was made, Tarantino went straight to Morricone to get that authentic sound, you know. So, but opening titles, it's only Clint Eastwood who's actually mentioned on the opening titles as one of the three actors.
Oh no!
And then later on, much later on, yeah, you do, don't you? Much later on, you get Eli Wallach. So it's like they're saying Clint's the most famous one. The other two aren't at the time. So Clint was the most famous. He was.
I guess at the time he was. He had a TV show.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
So we're at the opening scene here. This guy's face is
this was sort of like a character actor at the time. He didn't have a name.
Flash. This is Lefty, isn't it? He's like learned to shoot with his left hand. There's a lot of dogs in this movie, by the way. Whenever it's like it's the typical one dog town, isn't it? It's like,
well, you gotta have a dog. Don't know why, but you gotta have one.
You gotta have a dog, and these are the two guys waiting to kill Angel Eyes.
And I just love because the director picked people just because of their look. There were very few actors as the extras, and just like that guy looks interesting. He's going in the movie.
Yeah.
Teeth, no teeth, didn't matter.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to, because normally what I do is I used to build up to because I think this is the epitome of spaghetti western movies, in my opinion. And I would normally do like a series of them and would build up to the best one or the one that most people think is the best. And I love those long coats, the long rider coats.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But I think these are all filmed in Spain, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, Spain looks like Nevada, really, doesn't it?
The town is still there.
All of these
buildings are still standing. You can go visit now and ride horses and watch Western shows.
Yeah, I'll have to do that when all this silliness ends. With the lockdown, the lockdown. Oh, we've got a new person in the chat here. We have Raymond Kisner.
Ah.
Yeah, hello, Raymond. Nice to see you in the chat. First time you've been on our show here, but nice to see you there. He says, "Was it one of my cats is Blondie?" Right. I hope he doesn't. I hope he doesn't have like a miniature 6-shooter hanging around.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Cat with, that's why I keep mine out of the bunker.
Did I scratch you 5 times or 6?
I don't know. I can't count. I'm a cat.
I'm sorry to block the movie there, Raymond. Yeah, it's different for every. I mean, I can see stuff here that it's stuff that you guys have there that I'm not allowed access to, which is annoying. But there you go. So here we go. Yeah, that's one of them. So
we can just send you parts of guns, and then eventually you can build it.
I'm sure I won't get arrested for that.
What's in the post? It's just a bag of screws from America.
I love the way they make their entrances, ugly. The way ugly.
Yeah.
Yes. And now I remember he comes back, doesn't he? That guy there that's been shot in the arm.
I think so.
Yeah.
But I wanted to point out, I love how they enter. You notice they enter in through the door, and the camera immediately pans to the window. Just waiting on Tuco to come flying out.
Yeah. But I love the way that all 3 characters are introduced like that. The first time you see them is something occurs and you see their face. You don't hear what they're saying or anything. And it's a way of introducing characters without having all this unnecessary explanation, exposition. Yeah.
No Basil exposition, just all visual.
Yeah. Exposition is like the last refuge of a bad writer, isn't it, really?
Yeah. Whenever I'm in a movie and it starts off with, as you all know, it's like I know it's time to go get popcorn.
Or everything just goes many years ago during the war. I was a fighter pilot.
Oh man, Raymond's cat has a cowboy hat and western scarf. Oh my goodness!
Where's my poncho, Daddy?
With a miniature gun belt. Well, there you go, Raymond's cat. We're gonna have to make a spaghetti western with Raymond's cat in it now. We need 3. We need 3 cats though. We need 3 cats.
Let's see, the feral,
2 cats and a bulldog.
Yeah.
Oh, it could be the tame, the dumb, or the tame, the tame, the wild, and the feral. I don't know.
Could be.
We work that in.
Now
we've got the feast and the ugly.
So we're coming up to 8 minutes now on my version, and Lee Van Cleef. I mean, we haven't even introduced the actors yet, have we? Because they're so iconic. People know who these people are. I mean, Lee Van Cleef's just
the actor.
Yeah, Lee Van Cleef's look at his character, Angel Eyes or Sentenza, is looking for something, and he's tracking down something. So he's going to go and see this guy to get information, and they're just about to eat. But you can see they're worried now. So, and Lee Van Cleef just always, this is perfect. Spaghetti Western direction, isn't it? You think the framing of people are just in doorways, and there's very little dialogue.
Well, it's all they're telling everything with the eyes. You can just see the expressions on their face, see their body language, and
Wonder how much of that was necessity, since these were shot like, what was it, German, Italian, Spanish, Americans?
Probably a good shot.
Spoke anybody else's language.
I think the fact that the lip sync is so bad and yet people love these movies is a testament to how good they are.
Absolutely, because everybody makes fun of the dubs of Japanese, but you don't see that with the spaghetti westerns.
No, in fact, it's a selling point, isn't it, to be able to do like an out of sync lip movement.
Oh yeah.
Hey, gringo, I want some beans, and you can't see me lips. I'm moving my lips completely out of sync there.
I can. I love the ones where like the mouth moves for 12 seconds and then okay,
let's go. Yes,
exactly.
So Lee Van Cleef, what a perfect face he had for this. I mean, he looked like a hawk, didn't he? I mean, he just looked like a bird.
That's a funny thing, because when he became an actor in the 50s, they wanted him to get a nose job, and he didn't. Because it was like he was making so much money playing heavies because of his nose, and he's like, well, if I get a nose job, I won't make money. I'll be competing with every leading man.
Yeah, exactly.
and
Yeah.
this is it, and it's the fact that Hollywood just has the worst idea some of the time.
Mhm.
Oh, absolutely. They'll get something that works time and time again, and then they're like, oh, well, we'll tweak it and make it even better. It's like, no, guys, you've got lightning in a bottle. Roll with it.
This is it. I mean, the spaghetti western just reinvented the western, didn't it?
Yeah.
It's just so.
Well, it added a layer of dirt that was never there. Like,
Literal dirt.
this is a time before plumbing, before indoor bathrooms, before cars. So everybody was sweaty and covered in like layers of dust and dirt.
Yeah.
Well,
And
and if you,
spaghetti westerns were the first thing that really introduced that.
yeah, well, and if you look back at the American cowboy image from the television shows of the 50s and whatever, it's Back to the Future 3 was a great example of, the 50s idealized style of it versus this, which is much more close to real.
Yeah. You're saying the pink and white tassel outfit wasn't accurate?
I'm pretty sure it wasn't. However, I think the way they reacted about what kind of name is Clint Eastwood.
There were bright flamboyant colors though, which was like a misnomer in most movies.
It was because they started off red.
Yeah, until I guess Tombstone was really the first one to nail it as far as actual clothing.
Yeah, I've got to go back and watch that. It's been so long.
So he's looking for Jackson, or the alias that Jackson's using.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's a bounty hunter. I mean, the thing that people find confusing, and I used to find confusing, was the fact that Lee Van Cleef is playing a different character in this movie than he played in A Few Dollars More. So, I mean, it could be imagined as well, and we were saying this before the show, that even Clint Eastwood's character is a different character in all three movies. But because there's nothing saying that he's definitely playing the same character. But definitely Lee Van Cleef is supposed to be a different character from the second movie in this one. So he's a bounty hunter or a hired killer.
Yeah, and like you said, we kind of batted this around a bit before the show started. They play them just so much exactly the same.
Exactly.
Basically the same characters. It's like everybody's just like, I don't care. We just want to see it.
Yeah.
Well, it's almost like they're playing archetypes while they were inventing them.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. A little point about the language you were mentioning before, Flash. Obviously, Sergio Leone, the writer and director, didn't speak any English, really.
No.
Eli Wallach spoke barely any Italian. So Eli and Sergio communicated with French. They used French to talk to each other. So they both knew enough French to get by and use that method of communication. So
Eastwood was told when he went over there to write down or remember his lines so that when he had to do ADR later, he would be able to dub over his own stuff.
Yeah,
because a lot of their dialogue was made up on the spot.
Oh.
So they're like, make sure you memorize it or write it down because a year later you're going to have to go back and redub those lines.
Or learn to lip read or something.
Yeah.
Lip read yourself. Oh, there we go.
Ooh, through the table.
Yeah. He had $1,000, and so he thought he was going to get away with it, but
and down goes the kid.
Yeah, not good. So we immediately see who. We immediately see what kind of character he is. And he wasn't prepared to be bribed either because, in his opinion, it's a weird form of, it's loyalty. Loyalty can be bad, can't it, as well as good? Because he just didn't stop. in what he was doing. So
no,
he went through with the job.
Yeah,
Are you,
single-minded determination.
This is one of the best scenes in the whole movie. You up to the scene there where he wakes the old guy up, the old railway guy?
Yes, he's right by the bed, just turn the lamp up.
Yeah, that's it. And this guy is obviously Italian, and he's speaking really fast, and the lip movements don't mix at all. But does he speak? Oh, I'm thinking of another character, but this is the guy he paid for the job, right? This is the great bit, isn't it? Because he paid him to finish the job, and the other guy paid him to kill the other guy. So he goes through it. I'm spoiling the movie now, but he's playing both ends. Always go through with the job. Cash box. Cash box.
Am I back? There I am. Yep.
Yeah, you're back.
Lost my mind for a sec. I was going to say, what's the Ghostbusters line? No job is too big, no fee is too big.
Well, he sees through every job, doesn't he? So if he killed him, and now waits till he gets the money, and he says, "Oh, by the way, he paid me to kill you."
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, sorry everybody. I'll just spoil the next 3 minutes of the movie. Give me 1,000. Yeah. Now, what a funny joke.
Oh,
it's all my job through.
Oh, ooh.
No, very nice. Bang. Oh, through the pillow. Nice.
Well,
one.
The pillow muffles a shot.
Yeah. And here we hear the Ennio Morricone's music.
The bad.
And there's the first time we hear the coyote. The coyote motif. Because what he's trying to say is people are just like animals, wild dogs,
Yeah, I can buy that for the Wild West.
Mm.
Yeah, there's a reason it was called that.
Tuco's just been shot off his horse. And Tuco's probably the sneakiest one of all of them, but even he gets outsmarted, doesn't he, by the other two?
Yeah. Well, and the thing about him is he's so shifty. He's always nervous, but he's a very I guess worthy adversary. I mean, it's very easy to underestimate him.
Mm.
But he's a tough competition.
Yeah. Look, it was turned up as well.
Uh-oh.
You're not the one that's gonna collect it. Yeah.
It's that Eastwood fella the canyon's named after.
My cigars came from Beverly Hills. And here we go. He's gonna shoot like 5 blokes in one go.
Shifty eyes.
And again, you get the fabulous caricature faces, and
they always have such beautiful wanted posters in movies.
Yeah, don't they?
You got some really good artists back in the 19th century.
Yeah. Much better than the sketch artists now that do wanted posters.
So is that a Smith & Wesson, or is it a called Peacemaker? What is that?
No, it's not a Peacemaker. It looks like it's hard to tell from the
pistols, right?
Yeah,
These
that's
are
what
like post-Civil War naval.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Is it look like that?
Uh-huh.
And Eastwood's coat. Eastwood's coat was his favorite coat, apparently, that he wore in this movie. But same kind of coat he wore in High Plains Drifter as well.
Oh, okay, yeah, another great movie.
Like rock coat, it's
yeah. The Colt. Just to be needlessly annoying to you, Pete, the Colt has a piece of metal that goes over the top of it, so that's how you can tell at a glance that's not a Eastwood's. Colt. Yeah, Eastwood's using a different revolver. I think Flash is right. It looks like the naval
Naval.
the naval.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the double action army, because it's got the brass on it.
But it's definitely
Yeah,
a
it could
revolver,
be.
isn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And almost definitely a 45 caliber.
And it's got the squared off barrel on his too, like the octagon shape. It's not perfectly round.
Oh yeah, that hex shape instead of the rounded.
Mm.
It had so many cool guns. Now remind me, is this the one?
See, that's another thing that's different too, because in all like the TV and American westerns, that's all they used was a peacemaker.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Even if they were doing Civil War, they would still be using peacemakers. They never did like historically accurate. It was just that one gun.
Well, the benefit of these is that the Italians brought like a different dimension to it, didn't they? It's like them doing their version of a Western, but in the end creating a completely different genre.
Well, the only thing that makes me that's even close to this before that I can think of is Shane. Because it's like all mud and grime, and when they go to the city, it's like or town. The ground is just nothing but mud and like deep ruts where the wagons would go through, and because they're like in Wyoming or somewhere where it's just always cold and rainy, and that's like the first Western I can think of that didn't have that. Like everyone has perfectly pleated pants and shiny boots.
Yeah, it's a perfect stage lot for the the horses to walk in.
Yeah, nobody gets stubble. Everyone's always clean shaven. No mustaches.
I just love Eli Wallach in this. He's so good. He plays the horrible, foul mouth, retrograde better than anybody.
Oh yeah. And the public hanging, which was a great way to spend an afternoon in the West. Gave you something to do.
Yep, didn't have TV in those days.
That's quite a list he's reading off. Sounds like my rap sheet.
So what time stamp have you got there, Ralph?
I am at 22:53.
Right, you're a little bit ahead of me. I'll speed up a bit. Known as the Rat.
Yeah, or I can pause. I'm not sure where you're at.
No, that's fine.
It's
Flash.
definitely at Tuco's hanging.
So he's just shot through the rope.
It just did that for me, yeah.
Hang on.
And now he's made an escape.
What's your time? 23?
So I'm on 23, 23, 23, 24.
Okay.
And now he's given Tuco his share of the money. And this is, it looks like 1860s, 1870s dollars there. $100 bills.
The big giant bills.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
I don't know that
$100
big, but
$100 bills back in those days.
Is it true that the dollar is green because it's based upon the original currency of America, the tobacco leaf?
I don't know.
I do not know.
Well, it's named after skins, isn't it? Bucks comes from the way they used to trade animal skins, animal pelts. Is that right? Or is that another urban myth?
No, I believe you're right. Because greenbacks. So I would say you're probably correct, and it's just ignorance on our part.
That's just an outsider looking in. That's all.
We just call it money.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Don't see much of it these days.
Well, speaking of, we should probably say a moment of silence for Robert De Niro, because he's only going to make $7.5 million this year because of COVID.
Oh my gosh!
So horrible.
It's a modern day tragedy.
Back in the news. You gotta admire their ingenuity with this scheme they've got rolling.
Oh.
Oh, I love that little gasp of disgust. Now this is a
Well, he
character
came-
you don't see every day.
Well,
Oh,
He-
Raymond has a great observation in there. If you pull up his latest comment.
I think I'm behind in the chat. My cat.
Yep. After that.
I don't think that's come through yet on StreamYard. It's a bit slow.
Okay.
It is slow. There we go. It's finally come through now. There's Jessica. You're still with us, Jessica? Raymond says 1851 Navy Colt that converted to cartridges.
Nice,
okay.
nice. And good observation on the converted to cartridges, because
Awesome.
I actually know someone that has one. I'm not sure if it's an 1851 model, but it is actually a black powder model. So you actually have to load the powder of the wadding and all that. So
I just wanted to say as well, that character there, he's clearly come through the war unscathed. I mean, this was the era where your top problem wasn't somebody upset my feelings. It was my legs got blown off in the Civil War.
yeah. Well, and during the Civil War, the aid was, whatever got shot got cut off, so the rest of you got through. So,
and if you're a civilian, it was like, a cannonball came through my kitchen while I was having breakfast.
yes, exactly.
Somebody got my latte wrong.
And with a quick glance, Lee Van Cleef has figured out their scam.
Yeah, and it's all gone horribly wrong this time. The standard setup, it's gone wrong. He missed. Fallen Destiny's listening at the gym. That's something you'll probably never hear me say, unfortunately. I should really go to the gym, but I never do.
Yeah.
Gym? What's that?
I think he lives down the road from me, drives a taxi.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say, the new Uber.
For people tonight, I'm antisocial. You're not. The fantastic music there, isn't it? And that's the
fantastic, yeah.
That's like the sort of on the road theme, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then you get the coyote. I saw a video about coyotes just as I was doing some research for this movie. They're so loud. They're crazy. They're kind of shrieks.
They are absolutely nuts. Yeah.
Are they bad in Texas now?
Chills your blood. Stuff that the noises come up.
They're not real bad right now. We've seen. Let's see. We saw some earlier in the year. Even in the area we're in, which is not really rural, but it's you see them from time to time, but they tend to stay away from people.
Oh, yeah, very elusive. We have them here, but only because they decided, like, they used to be native to the area. We're going to replant them. And they did it in like a park that's like very close to civilization, which was strange. But now they're like as far as like 50 to 60 miles west of there. They moved into the wilderness. They moved away from people.
Well, yeah. They didn't
they migrated out like pretty far, and now they're like everywhere.
Yep.
I almost hit one with a car one night, and that was freaky.
Yeah.
They look like a sickly dog. They're creepy.
And the good-ish.
You see, yeah. And Blondie, Clint Eastwood's character, first time we hear him given a name. This is great. When he tries to... I'm sure there's a bit where he swears at somebody in the music.
Yeah, I've got a rough idea of what that means in Spanish. It's not nice.
But the fact that he's the good because he didn't kill Tuco, because everybody just kills everybody all the time. So he didn't kill Tuco, so he's good.
Where are you at now? What's your?
They're just throwing the lady off the Confederate soldiers are just throwing her off the carriage there.
Yeah, 30 minutes, 8 seconds.
Mine jumped.
Oh, okay.
Mine was already with him buying his gun.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah. No, I love when Tuco buys his gun.
Oh, now that's coming up. I've got a little bit of trivia about that. That's coming up soon. That scene.
Okay.
The creepy Lee Van Cleef in the room scene.
Ooh.
Yeah, because he's tracking down down his prey.
Went to a whore's room.
And this is his girlfriend, Bill's girlfriend.
Yeah, Bill. That's right. It's
Bill.
been a while since I've seen this.
So you're to the Lee Van Cleef slapping the whore, right?
Not just yet. He hasn't.
Yeah.
I think I'm a little bit behind.
Yeah, he just turned the lamp up, and they've just started talking.
You call him to the dark slap. There you go. I've just got the slap there.
Okay.
Slap. Yeah, I'm about 3 seconds behind you. So
welcome to 1950s husbandry.
Well,
open-handed slap.
He did it with the back of his hand. It's not like he was really serious.
Oh yeah, it's not a slap.
Oh well, never mind. That was forehand. Never mind.
Yeah. He kind of wails there for a minute.
There we go. It's, that's enough.
Yeah, man.
He's got that classy scarf, and it makes me forgive him.
Well, yeah, but I was going to say with the foreslap, backslap, foreslap, it's starting to look like My Name is Trinity.
Yeah,
I was just going to say it's like tennis. Service. Wonderful backhand there from Lee. And
one of the ball boys runs across the screen, picks up a tooth, keeps going.
And I've got some fantastic strawberries and cream right now, and some chilled Pims. So we're back to Tuco, who's wandering the countryside in
the swinging bridge to nowhere.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think I'd rather just walk through the gully, man.
Yeah, it doesn't look that bad.
The bridge across the river, none.
Yeah.
Well, now I have to admit, we're the beginning of the West. Out west, rivers aren't really rivers.
So he's reached yet another like one-horse town. I mean, it was a strange time in the West. I mean, I know this is all based in like these sets are in Spain, but in the narrative, this time is where all of these towns, were built in the hope that they would become something, weren't they? There was this. Let's put our money together, build a town in the middle of nowhere, and hopefully it'll work.
Somewhere, and then others were built because there was silver or nickel or lead or some other mining thing happening.
Yeah, just whatever reason that people had to stop at that place.
Yeah, if it was like along a trading route or cattle run route, it was like, okay, good place for a town.
I love the way he sticks his boot around there, just as he's about to close the store.
Yes,
right.
I mean, that's how it was at Hilton. Of the Hilton hotels, that's how he made his fortune. Was he just went out west and was told people that he came from old money, and they believed him and gave him loans, and he opened up a hotel because he's like, you know what this town doesn't have? Hotels.
There you go.
And back then, your word was money, so you could get a line of credit from any bank. Just tell them like, oh yeah, back east I was rich, and they're like, all right, we trust you.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is a famous gun scene.
Yes.
Which everybody loves. Now,
this is exactly how we're going to send you a gun, Pete.
Yes.
Now, did you know, right? Everything Eli Wallach did with those guns was unscripted. This is all completely ad lib, right? Now, he knew a little bit about guns, so basically Sergio told him to do whatever he wanted to do. So it was completely off the cuff. And the guy playing the storekeeper, Enzo Petito, Bemuse's reactions are actually genuine because he just doesn't know what Eli Wallach's going to do next.
Well, I love how he goes through this. This is great because
what a great actor to do this. This is completely ad-libbed.
And Tuco would later create Lego.
And but I love the idea of just taking the best bits of a gun to
Yeah.
make like a super gun, you know, like that's the best barrel, that's the best revolver,
or at least customizable to your own comfort, kind of thing. I mean, now the gun industry is kind of catered to that kind of thing.
Well, yeah. There you go. Yes, love that scene.
And of course, the best bit's right at the end, isn't it? With the bit right at the end was also Eli Wallach's idea. He came up with at the last minute. You couldn't do this in movies now. You couldn't do this. The actors wouldn't dream of doing anything like this. You know, I mean, this is in the day when actors were creative. You know, I mean, I'm not having to go at actors. There's probably really good actors now who could do this, but it's the way that the whole movie industry set up. You know.
Where everything's by committee, so there's no room for
exactly. And of course, he's getting a nice bottle of whiskey to go with his new gun.
Oh yeah.
And the targets, of course, are the First Nation peoples.
Yeah.
So
this movie has just triggered me.
Yes, it's. I'm gonna have to complain.
It triggered me too. I want to break my revolver out.
We'll have to CGI over this scene with white people getting shot as targets.
We'll have to make them all look like Trump.
Being bad orange men with the gun.
Well, I will Photoshop some MAGA hats on them. Actually, that'll be all right.
Also, have to Photoshop a walkie-talkie in Eli Wallach's hand.
Yeah.
See, I love the bit at the end where he jumps to prove that he hit the last target.
And he picks up a nice hat as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this guy, Enzo Petito, the guy playing the storekeeper. Fantastic face again. Perfect.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, you know, perfect.
This is like 19th century Buc-ee's.
Yeah. So he's now loading it again, putting a strap in. How much for the gun?
Hey, I got $20. I can afford a gun.
$20.
Oh, crap.
But he's not asking how much for the gun. How much? $50. So he now knows what he's asking. How much? $100. That's $200. That's all I've got. So that's a nice deal for Tuco, isn't it? A nice new custom gun, a hat, a bottle of whiskey, cartridges, and $200.
Yeah.
Out the till.
I'm glad banknotes got smaller over time because wallets would be terrible nowadays.
Oh yeah.
Well, British currencies only recently got smaller. You know, I mean, British currencies were huge, and all of the sort of continental and American wallets used to get were far too small for British currency.
Yeah. When did the American dollar get small? Like in the teens? Turn of the century?
Sign going in the mouth.
Like when we went to the silver standard, maybe?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I think the oldest currency that I can recall seeing was 40s, and it was in that range. So yeah, I would think it was somewhere around turn of the century.
Yeah, I've got like a dollar from like the 20s or 30s, and it's small.
Yeah, because I know Civil War era was huge. After
they were like 8x10s.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it would have to be somewhere.
The Confederate money was like giant, like 9x12 paper too.
Well, you could use it for a flag if it was necessary.
Or as a blanket at night on a cold night.
Exactly.
We've got the playful theme going on right now, which is sort of harken back to Tuco's past, because he basically grew up as an orphan, as a ragamuffin or whatever you want to call them, a munchkin, you know, a child of the streets.
Yeah.
Surviving on what he could find.
See, and I love through all of this, he goes through, he builds his gun, he does all this. Oh, yeah, boiled potato. But you know, he went through all of that, and all he's got is a little leather cord to hold his gun together.
Yeah, I wonder why. Yeah, you think he could have gotten a holster from the guy that had everything in a store.
Yeah,
I think he likes it that way. He likes to carry the strap. Oh no, because I hope Cosmetti's not watching this.
Cover your eyes. Cover your eyes, Cosmetti.
The chicken. You're still talking about my childhood.
Yeah.
That's a good actor chicken. It's not a real chicken.
Yes.
Few people hit. I'm anti-social. Says, chilled Pims.
Sir Lawrence Olivier.
I don't drink chilled Pims actually. And on that note, actually, I've got beers. I better I'll come back in about a minute, gentlemen, if you can hold the fort. I've just remembered I've got my beers in the freezer again.
Better get them.
I'll be back in just a second.
All right, sure thing. Oh, wait a minute. Who's he cutting a deal with? Is he cutting a deal with God?
I don't know.
Oh, no, he's talking to the three guys about to jump him. Oh, I see.
The Mexican ninjas.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a great explanation of him. Just rope down. Yeah, it's like, come on, dude. If he got killed in Albuquerque, how would he be there? Oh, wow. Now you've ruined our boiled potato stew. Dropped a chicken in it. You know, and living out west, I just look at all these folks that are always wearing coats, the long coats, long hair, all that stuff. I never understand. So it's hot.
Yeah, that's always my thing. I'm like, what time of year is it supposed to be? Because it never looks cold. It always looks like summer.
Yeah, exactly. It's always dusty. Always looks just scorching hot. But everybody's always in long, like the Civil War era outfits were long, heavy, scratchy, woolly stuff.
Knit wool. That stuff, like the pants weighed like 3 pounds.
Oh yeah.
Didn't they just mention something about Confederate money's worthless? He said, "We want that Yankee money. Get the Yankee money. Those Confederates ain't worth nothing," or something like that.
Yeah, it was the reality of the time. Going through there, trying to find money that somebody would accept during the war.
I remember every kid show growing up that was always like the stinger to a mystery.
Oh,
like
yeah.
The Scooby-Doo type stuff where they'd be looking for a treasure and then they find it and it turns out it's like, oh, yeah, there was $1 million in Confederate money.
Yeah. Confederate gold. If it wasn't for you pesky kids, I would have gone away with it.
Yes, exactly.
It doesn't matter, Mr. Withers. This is worthless.
What?
It's Confederate money. No! I spent $3 million to do this ghost hoax.
I was always severely disappointed that it wasn't an actual real monster.
Yeah.
Just a bloke in a suit.
That's until they met Satanist Vincent Price, who sent them on missions to hunt down 13 ghosts.
We don't talk about 13 ghosts of Scooby-Doo.
No. So
that's non-canon.
Shaggy.
Eli's or Tuco's actually hired his mates. This is where he's going earlier to recruit his friends to send them in first. So that's good tactics, that you see.
Yes.
To kill Blondie while Blondie's cleaning his gun.
Yeah, and that's that bad time to be cleaning your gun. But judging by all the grit flying off that thing, it's a good thing he is.
These Mexican actors have got some of them have got the real Aztec face, haven't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You can see it's with obviously because there's different mixed ethnicities. Some Mexican people look more Spanish, but some of them look more Aztec. So it's an interesting variety of faces that people have.
And casting the extras for the look is that's just a brilliant move.
Yeah.
There's the Spurs.
Yeah.
Are they good Spurs or are they?
Beautiful game.
They look good. From
They're
I've got.
illegal. Aren't Spurs illegal now?
His Air Jorge's.
I don't think they are.
Does it hurt the horses? Because it must hurt them, wouldn't it?
Well, you don't really jab in with them. It's just
A reminder.
yeah.
To kick people in the face with, they're great.
Well, yeah, now that of course.
Like
Here we
that
go,
guy in that Van Damme movie that wore Spurs and you kick people with them. That was awesome.
See how they're waiting
Oh,
outside the
yeah.
door
Double impact.
because there's
I
no
remember
sound
that.
outside,
Black silky underwear.
and they're
Yeah.
carefully going to the door to try the handle, really slowly, and they're waiting for the. I wonder if they're authentic outfits, the uniforms. The Confederate.
They look good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not an expert. Yeah, now racing to get the last of the cartridges in.
Yeah. Well, they only needed 3 bullets.
That is a beautiful gun.
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
So it's definitely. What was Raymond saying? It's an 1851 Navy Colt.
Mm.
Just cartridges.
Yeah.
And that's the first time you hear the why in reference to Clint. So he caught them because of their spurs, you see.
Have you seen the movie The Sisters Brothers?
No.
It's really good. But they do like the authentic like Navy Colts, in packing them and loading them and all that. It's kind of neat.
I don't know whether there's many of those weapons around now. Then is there?
No, you can get replicas though.
There were a lot back then because
It was a war weapon, wasn't it?
when the war ended, they let them keep their sidearms.
Yeah.
They had the Confederates hand in their rifles, but they were allowed to keep their pistols.
Yeah, and I'd say most everybody was happy to turn their rifles in because something I think it's relevant to this movie is period era U.S. military weapons. They were using muskets, so you had to. It was black powder, wadding, ball.
Wow.
Before every shot.
And it was the North that came up with the really highly engineered rifles, wasn't it? Mass producing them.
Yeah, and cartridges existed at that time, but the military was still using black powder and all that. So yeah, there wasn't much need in keeping them.
And he would say Tuco, who's labeling Blondie as Judas. It's the whole symbolism of he believes him to be a traitor, to be Judas, and there's a lot of weird interpretations of loyalty in this, isn't there? Because loyalty to, even if it's loyalty to other criminals, is a good thing as far as they're concerned. And I find it interesting that Tuco's character, all he's bothered about is his little vendetta or his little feud with Clint, even though there's a war going on right outside.
Oh yeah.
Some people are so obsessed with their little petty quarrels when there's huge events happening outside their window, aren't they, gentlemen?
He's lost his business, you could say. So
I mean that's what we have nowadays. We have Twitter.
Yes.
We have people that spend their days fighting online while there's wars going on outside their windows.
When there's a sort of, I won't say the word.
yeah, exactly.
A lot of events. So this mortar has just destroyed the whole building, and obviously Clint, the beam that Clint was going to have to hang himself from, is snapped now. So he's left. There you go.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's a 3-hour-long movie, this gentleman, because it's an epic, isn't it?
Oh yeah, yeah. But that's the thing. But it's clipping right along. We're 49 minutes 55 seconds in, and I'm not gonna say it's a Stephen King book of movies because it moves much better, and the ending's good.
Mm. Now we're sort of all through the movie as well. One of the themes is that the war's going on, and the devastation of war is all around them.
Yes.
And the carnage of war is all around them, and it's even more upsetting because it's a nation at war with itself.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's poignant for what's going on right now.
Well, and you know, something that here in America is you know, usually for us, our troops go off, they fight the battle, they come home.
Mm-hmm.
In the Civil War, you know, it was in your backyard. You know, like you talked about cannonballs coming through the kitchen. At the early start of the Civil War, people used to go out, you know,
picnic.
like with picnic to watch the battle unfold.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, they got over that pretty quickly.
Yeah. Well, it was there was one particular battle, wasn't it? Cold Mountain. Is that right?
Sounds right. I remember
there was thousands of people died in one day. So Raymond's just said, by the way, I can only imagine if Eastwood didn't do these movies, especially Good, Bad, and Ugly. Yeah, so I can't. I'd be a different world, wouldn't it, if Eastwood hadn't have done these movies? So maybe in some alternate reality. But here he's confronted with the dead and the dying.
Yeah, you get a quick glimpse into what it was like.
You're getting a glimpse into his character as well, because you later find out he is a military man, and you're getting a glimpse into the way he's become. And it's a bit like Joseph Conrad's novels, where if you're exposed to enough madness, in the end, what's the point in doing anything good at all if the world is this evil? You might as well just get everything you can out of it and become completely amoral. So he's become amoral. A bit like the reinterpretation of Heart of Darkness was Apocalypse Now, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
The airborne, the colonel of the airborne, who says, "I love the smell of napalm in the morning."
Yes.
You know?
So the alternate reality of Clint Eastwood's life is a man named Richard Harrison.
Ah, yes.
Oh, there you go.
Ninja Terminator in the Godfrey Ho Ninja movies that feature him answering the Garfield phone.
Mm.
He was the original choice to be Blondie in the Clint Eastwood characters, and he gave Clint Eastwood that part. Like, he called him and be like, "Hey, you might want to do this." Because he just wasn't interested at the time. And I guess he had already been working overseas, and he was like, "I just want to go back home, so I don't want to do this movie." And he suggested Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, Richard Harris is a really influential person, wasn't he? He was best friends with a lot of big actors: Richard Burton, Peter O'Toole, Clint Eastwood. Oliver Reed. He was an alcoholic that rubbed shoulders with a lot.
No, this was a different Richard Harrison. This is he would be Clint Eastwood.
Sorry, yeah.
You're thinking of Richard Harris.
Just strike that from the record, Your Honor.
Richard Harrison in the 80s became popular for going straight to video.
I know what you mean.
So if Eastwood hadn't been in these in the 80s, he would have been making ninja movies.
Oh, man, that I can't imagine. Yeah, so I bet you're wondering if I threw 5 throwing stars.
Nobody knew these were going to be so big. And I guess this is the one that really was like a worldwide hit, right?
Yeah, there's a Howling Coyote again. Did you know that the iconic theme music, of course, it's designed to mimic a coyote, or in this case, it sounds like an owl, doesn't it? A prairie owl. But originally, Morricone didn't want to use a trumpet at all in this one because, but Sergio Leone insisted he wanted a trumpet, wanted electronic and acoustic guitars, and he wanted the Tarzan yell as well.
Well, see, that's another thing that Morricone introduced was like acoustic instruments and like that loose string electric guitar sound.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
He also introduced the sitar to music, to pop music, because in Danger Diabolic, they used a lot of the sitar. And then like 3 or 4 years later, the Beatles were using it.
Yeah.
Because they saw it in that movie and they're like, what's that sound?
It's the sound of Ravi Shankar.
Yeah, they were like, what is that sound? We want to use that. And then they ended up making it, worldwide popular.
So
And
he's
that's kind of the
tracking down-
sound of like, the late 60s, early 70s is the sitar. Whenever you have a hippie, that's a ring, 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 ring.
And Tuco's gradually tracking him down. Every time he gets closer, he's getting closer in time scale because now the fire's just been sort of died down.
Yeah.
Would you smoke another gentleman's cigar? I would.
If you're jonesing.
Well, yeah. It depends on the gentleman.
Flash, come on! I don't think you've done it.
That's a lot of cigar left behind.
Yeah, I gotta say, yeah.
And all of the cigars were actually cigars that were cut in half.
Yeah, you were saying they came from Beverly Hills.
Yeah, he bought them in a Beverly Hills cigar shop, and were these really long cigarillos, and he just like, I'll cut those in half and make a whole pack.
Well, did you know that even though Clint is the top billed actor, we were talking about that in the credits earlier, weren't we? Even though he's a top billed actor, Eli Wallach gets the most screen time.
I was going to say, yeah, it's kind of like a Mad Max movie where he's just kind of in it. Yeah. He's not the focal point.
No. And the new counterpart for Clint, I'm afraid, is going to have to actually be hanged. Shorty's in for a shock. Sorry, Shorty. Hang by the neck until dead. May God have mercy on his soul. Proceed.
Yeah. Hang by the neck until dead was the bad one, because that's
you're not snapping the neck, you're just strangling.
Exactly.
If you were lucky, because many hangings ended in decapitation.
Yeah.
It depended on how you tie the knot, and apparently that takes some expertise.
That and the drop.
And most people didn't know how to do that. So if the knot was tied wrong, you would either be decapitated or be like really, really slowly strangled.
So Sawtell Cemetery, which is up later on in the movie, as you're saying, still exists. You can still make out the outline. It's all grown up in it, but it's in North Spain. But the music that plays there is called the Trio. So that's all of these themes we're hearing. All of them are given specific names. So Raymond says, I dread they make a remake in today's PC climate. Would be a walking visual. It would.
Oh, absolutely.
It would be an obscenity, and it's hopefully they never ever try to do that.
Well, if they remade it now, it'd be like we were saying, way too much exposition. It'd be a lot of people talking and nobody doing.
It would be people apologizing for everything.
Miss a show and no talk.
Yeah. It would be say, I'm so sorry, I'm white.
All right, guys, here's what everybody really wants to know. Let's find out the man with no name's name and his backstory.
My name is Tristan. My name is Tristan. Excuse me.
Tristan Williams. I'm from Seattle, and I like hoverboards. And my parents died when I was young, and it makes me very sad. So now I'm on a ride for vengeance.
You were going to say, what's that? Quidditch, Harry Potter.
Oh, no.
I click Quidditch.
10-time Quidditch champion.
Okay.
Cribbage.
It's so good for teams.
Harry Potter and his cribbage match.
I can't remember the name of this theme, but it's beautifully done, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
And then you hear the piano music, which occurs later on.
Yeah.
Which it comes back in the theme called The Ecstasy of Gold, which is later on in the movie.
And Tuco with his parasol going over the desert sands.
Love that.
His pink parasol.
Yes.
And that's kind of a tip of the hat to the samurai movies that inspired these.
That's correct, because the first one was Fistful of Dollars, which was based on Yojimbo.
Yeah.
Which is another angle that we could look at. We could look at the you know, the dissemination of meaning, how one story goes into another, goes into another. We're telling the same stories across the world from culture to culture.
And that was redone like, in the 90s with Bruce Willis?
Oh, yeah, the most recent
Last Man Standing or something like that. Where it was like a gangster flick with the same both sides against the middle story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be interested in a series like that.
Sandcrawler picks up Clint Eastwood.
We're looking for droids.
Hey, is that a sandcrawler? Maybe they can help us.
Hey, Blondie, stormtroopers always ride in single file.
So no surprise, this theme you're hearing right now is called The Desert.
Yeah.
Okay, for a reason. Now you see how
if anyone here is like me and a huge fan of like Blueberry and like the westerns of the Franco-Belgian comics, this is like where you see where all of that came from visually.
Have you noticed as well? I mean, I know Tuco's character keeps calling Blondie Judas, but in this instance, Clint's character is like Christ in the wilderness, and Tuco's just basically playing the devil, plaguing him in the wilderness. Trying to destroy him. Did you get that analogy at all?
I did not, but I'm usually thick on things like this.
Yeah. So it's like it's 40 days in the wilderness. What's going on here? Because it does change his character. And later on in the movie, you know, the man with no name's character starts to change. Because he has that sort of at the end of his time in the desert, without spoiling for people, he goes to a monastery, doesn't he? So, but something happens out in the desert, doesn't it, gentlemen? I won't say anything at this point.
You know what? I'm going to have to remain silent. My memory fails me. I'm just enjoying the moment.
I'm enjoying Eli's cackle.
Yes.
It's the best. It's the best. He's the best.
His character is just obviously loving every moment of this.
And so Clint's already covered in sun stores all over.
And the horse joins in the laughter.
Look at that boot. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's cut all over and it's got a bit curled up on the side. It's pretty bad state.
Yeah, that is a roughed up boot. Yeah.
And now he's washing his feet in what's left of the water, a bucket of water there. It's just torture.
When do we find the singing bush?
Would you say I have a plethora?
A plethora of sunburn. My skin is going to be all wrinkly and crow's footy.
It's, I mean, it must have been going on for days for it to get this bad, you know, because you don't go like that in one day.
Oh no!
Well, no hat and no sunscreen will be pretty quick in a desert.
Well, this is it. I mean, I imagine in the South United States, you don't go out without a hat on.
Yeah, you end up looking like Robert Redford after a day or two.
Well, I'm just thinking, sunstroke, things like that.
Oh yeah, it doesn't take long. You know,
and it's worse in the West too. With the dry heat, you can get sunstroke faster because you don't notice it coming on.
Yeah.
I mean, you get it fast here in the East because the humidity is so bad that you're dehydrating because you're sweating out every bit of fluid in your body. But you also know because you're sweating so much, it's really hot. But without that sweat part of it, you just kind of like, oh, okay, it's hot, but I'm okay.
Mm.
And then all of a sudden you're like passed out.
Yeah. Yeah, the problem in the West is you go, oh, no, it's all right. It's a dry heat. This isn't bad. No, it's a dry. No, I'm fine. And then poof,
There's a nice breeze.
You guys are wimps. What do you mean cover my head up? Plop.
Apparently, Eli Wallach was almost poisoned on the set after drinking acid that was used to burn the bags filled with gold coin. Make them basically they used acid to burn the bags to make them easier to rip open when when they get struck with a spade right at the end. He didn't know the acid had been poured into a lemon soda bottle, so he drank it, and it was like he almost died. So he had to drink loads of milk. He had to drink loads and loads of milk to try and heal his stomach, and but he basically filmed the scene right in the end of the movie with his mouth was full of sores. We're talking about Clint Eastwood with makeup sores on his face. Well, Eli's actually was, his mouth was burnt with sores from the acid at the end of towards the end of the movie. A lot of these accidents happen on these movies, I noticed.
Oh yeah,
I can imagine it'd be a lot in a movie like this where no one speaks the same language.
Oh goodness, I am so dense. Yes, I remember what happens now. Ugh.
Oh, that's all right, Ralph. I'll let you off.
I appreciate that.
This is the we're what are we? We're like an hour into the movie, and this is just the central theme of the whole movie is just riding into the story as we speak.
Exactly. Yeah. We're just now getting for what the motivation is.
Yeah. Look at the lead horse at the front on the left. Beautiful.
Oh yeah.
That's a good horse on the front left there. The brown one. Chestnut. I love horses. I mean, I don't have the money to own a horse, but I think they're fantastic animals. Yeah,
you should just get a little one. Keep it in your
home. There's miniature ponies. Those are amazing.
We have near where I live. Actually, there's some travelers. We're not allowed to call them gypsies.
Oh yes.
And the guy regularly sort of like puts his miniature ponies out there this time of year. So
there's a really good modern Western called a damsel.
Yeah.
And one of the key things in that is a miniature horse.
This guy here who's I love the way that Eli Wallach does this highly complicated sign of the cross.
Yeah.
It reminds me of
it's like the sign of the cross plus the waving away the flies.
Yeah, and then comes the gold watch. Yeah, I'll take that.
Do you know has anybody seen Red Dwarf?
Eli Wallach has pocketed more money in this movie.
Oversized American currency.
Yeah.
It's only Confederate money though, isn't it?
Yeah, this is Confederate money, so it's no good.
Yeah, Raymond's got another comment in there too.
Yeah, they're not coming through very quick on StreamYards here. It's not coming through yet, that one.
Oh, okay.
It takes about a couple of minutes for it to come through. I don't know why.
I'll give it time. It's definitely worth a discussion.
So, Bill Carson. So this is oh, there we go. It's come through now. Tuco should. Yeah, he should have, shouldn't he? That would have been amazing.
Yeah, it would have been. Yeah, what happens to Tuco?
Before and after. Mm-hmm.
What's that?
That Tuco should have got his own movie. Yeah, Raymond brought that up in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
It's surprising he didn't.
So he's discovered the snuff.
Yeah, the snuff box. How genteel of him.
And then while he was farting on with all that stuff, he's realized that here is the most important character in the movie.
Now, see, these guys are lucky because their uniforms aren't made of the wool that the actual uniforms were.
True, man.
I thought the South would have just made all their uniforms out of cotton.
You would think. But no, they had the heavy wool, just like the Union Army had, because they were offshoot of the Union Army, so they just had kind of the same uniforms. But well, and wool is great because it's a summer and winter material.
Yeah.
Well,
and the knit wool they used is very durable.
Well, I saw something the other day that the uniforms were in so short supply.
Yeah.
In certain battles, some of the soldiers wore their dad's Revolutionary Continental Army uniforms.
Yeah.
That wouldn't surprise me. Yeah.
Well, that was like, the gray weren't really the gray. They were like multicolored uniforms because they were just a lot of borrowed clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then was it Gettysburg that was fought over shoes?
Yeah.
Because the army was, they were going to invade Washington, but they were on their way to Hanover, Pennsylvania, which is where they made Hanover shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Because most of the Southern Army were shoeless.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was Southern supplies were not great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Another great thing about these is there are flies everywhere in these movies.
Yeah.
Well, Bill Carson just wants water at this point.
Well, and the South also had the problem of their rations. Their army rations were made up of like cornmeal. So all of them, like half of the army had scurvy because all they had was cornmeal. And, they would kill Union soldiers just to get their food kits because they had better food.
Bill Carson's eye.
Where we could get things like cornbread, so we got something out of it.
Yeah, that's true.
Because they learned a million ways to use cornmeal.
I'm just saying, Bill Carson's eye patch isn't really doing what it's supposed to do. It's just one piece of fabric hanging around his face. So while Tuco was away, Clint was there. If you do that, you'll always be poor, just like the greasy rat that you are.
Now you're asking yourself, did I hear the whole conversation or just part? Do I know about the gold or don't I?
Did I use a noun or an adjective?
Do I hear that music in my head or is that the score?
The name is Smith, John Smith.
So now the dimension of it has changed. The dynamic changed. Blendy, don't die, Blendy.
I'm your friend. I've spent all this time torturing you.
I'm trying to kill you and now I'm torturing you, but you're my mate. Well, you know why Tuco really hates Blondie? Because he keeps doing this to him all the time.
Yeah.
Blondie, don't shoot me, Blondie.
There's something about being in the business proposal where you're the one on the end of the rope.
Do you know Clint wore the same poncho in all three movies?
Oh yeah.
That poncho is so iconic.
They won't any item that would be seen as their official approved. The South allowed civilians clothes that were brown, grey, tan, and dark yellow. Uniforms didn't get got up in mass numbers till early 1863 for the Union and for the South, late 1860. So that's interesting. So most of the war then, it was no real uniformed regiments on the South anyway. But it could have been that way in there. So here they're now dressed as Confederate soldiers. He's even wearing Carson's eye patch as well. I forgot about
commit to the bit.
Yeah.
It actually suits the eye patch, I've got to say.
Yeah.
He's pulling it off quite well. Near Apache Canyon. It's the same bloke who does the voice for a lot of these, Apache Canyon.
I was watching Danger Diabolic, and I'm like, other than the lead actor who has his American voice, every other person in English is all the same people that dubbed Speed Racer.
Oh yeah,
So the
yeah.
whole time I'm watching, I'm like, why is that voice familiar? I'm like, oh my god, that's Pops Racer. That's Trixie. That's Spritle. That's my childhood.
So he's got to do his best to keep Clint alive, otherwise
Yeah.
he'll never find the gold. And then we've had an idea of numbers all the way through, because it's like, you know, he makes $1,000, $2,000, sometimes even $3,000 off the fake hanging routine, and Angel Eyes has made like $2 or $3 grand in the last week, so that's the amount of money they're making. But now we're talking $200,000.
Oh yeah.
Which in those days,
Today's money is probably like over $1 million, I'm guessing.
Oh well, yeah. I would say
don't know
well
the
over.
exchange, 'cause I know the official exchange rate doesn't go back that far.
$100 million. I mean, it's just like more money than cents, really. You know?
Yeah.
So again, he has the wounded, and seriously wounded soldiers. Because I mean, this brings across the fact that gun technology was way in advance of medical technology, wasn't it? So.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, and keep in mind that the guns that they were using at that time were, weren't even the latest technology.
No.
But the thing is it's still just devastating.
Yeah. And it was the poisoning, wasn't it? Because the infections, really.
Yeah,
the
infections were probably the biggest killer, and in addition to the poor gun technology, they were still lining up to do battle, doing charges, in mass. The tactics just
insane, wasn't it, really, when you think about it?
Well, the medicine killed more people than the bullets.
Oh yeah.
And what they called painkillers be things we call like literally poisons.
Yeah. Well, and their idea of painkiller was
liquid mercury for like pain.
Oh yeah. Well, and the best option for you was a quick amputation. They got amputations down to like 7 seconds for a limb, which just insane.
I mean, one of the reasons like Civil War photography was popular and possible was because if the photographer ran out of chemicals to do his darkroom, he could just go to the hospital. Medicines. That's how toxic it was. And most photographers back then died of, cancer because of the toxic materials for developing.
So he's going back on a pretend faith there, because you find out that his brother is a priest. But you heard the little sort of like playful flute theme, which harks back the fact about him when he was a kid, because, but then very quickly the coyote theme takes over.
Yeah. You can see him get the idea at the same time.
The music is narrating to you.
It's opera.
Yeah. That's exactly it. And this is what Morricone said. He said that, opera had changed direction. By the 1960s in Italy, opera had moved into movies, and it moved into this genre. And what Morricone was doing, he was really writing an opera with his music. Directing your attention with his music that way. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm probably going to, do you know what it is? I'm probably going to get I know people don't own CDs anymore, but I think I'm going to buy a really good quality soundtrack, Ennio Morricone soundtrack CD for these 3 spaghetti westerns, because I've got almost everything else he did.
Oh, yeah.
I'm such a hipster. I have all 3 on vinyl.
Oh, there you go, man.
Brilliant. It's good music.
Yeah.
And it was great because I found 2 of them at a thrift store. Then I went to another thrift store and found the 3rd one. I was like, yes.
It's one of those things you can put. It's great to listen to when you're drawing, though, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Really good music to listen to when you're drawing.
I listened to that, and then the Barry Lyndon soundtrack is great, too.
We've got to do that sometime. That is a fantastic movie. And we've done other movies in the past on this channel, and Barry Lyndon was an inspiration for a lot of different movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you got, and I'm never going to crack on anybody for keeping physical media, because that's just being able to have it, pull it out whenever you want it, no matter what. I've still got my stash squared away.
The media is vanishing one by one.
Well, it's just weird how the cassette tape. I mean, it's in a very short space of time. It's become a mythical item, hasn't it? That
it really has, yeah.
And it's like, well, it's not that long ago. It's not like the Ark of the Covenant. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, but still, it's what's amazing is I actually have a rack of cassettes sitting in front of me in the bunker here right now. So every now and then break them out, show them to the kids. It's like,
I'm just waiting
girls,
for the hipsters to go crazy over cassettes, and I can make my fortune on eBay.
Dude, yeah, it's going to come back in. It'll come back in vogue.
They'll all want Walkmans and cassette tapes.
Get them now.
Look, I got these cassette tapes.
It's called a mixtape. It's what all the kids are going wild over now.
This is a ferric tape. You can hear the background hiss.
And look, if it's not rewound, you just take a pencil and you put it in there.
Yeah.
Wow.
After Guardians of the Galaxy, Walkmans went up in sales.
There you go. Perfect example. Yeah, the mixtape from
but people had no idea the tapes went in them. Like, people were buying up the Walkmans on eBay and everything.
Yeah.
But, the people buying them didn't know what cassettes were, so they're like, "Oh, I have this thing. I don't know how to use it now." I have the earphones and I have the player, but what goes in it?
Yes, and that's a great point, because I remember being on Amazon, seeing the 80s style over the ear headphones.
Mm-hmm.
They were making a big comeback.
Yeah.
So he's gonna kill him, but he realizes I sleep better. No, my good friend is by my side.
Beautiful woodwork on that wood handle.
Oh yeah.
That makes me want to buy a gun every time I see something that pretty.
Yeah, I've got to tell you, man, the craftsmanship on those weapons.
Come on, stimulus check number 2.
Yeah, because
what you should see, if you ever go to Venice, the military museum there has the original gunpowder weapons, because Italy was way ahead of the time, and they're ornately carved and everything. It's amazing.
Oh yeah.
They had like the gilded barrels and everything too.
They had revolvers, like way before revolvers. Well, I mean, the first person to sort of patent the whole idea correctly was Cole, wasn't it?
I mean, I feel terrible because I live 4 miles from the NRA museum, and I've never been. And then I found out it was free. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I live like almost walking distance and it's free.
Oh yeah, you got to go there.
And then the lockdown thing happened.
Yeah,
so I'll never get to go there.
That's terrible. But I mean, here's a really important scene with Pablo, who's Tuco's brother. Look at the face that Pablo has. It's amazing. It looks like something. His face looks like it's just come out of like a painting from the 13th century, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's like made of granite.
It's like, it's like something like it's amazing. And kisses his rope. And here we go.
He does. He looks like a Roman statue.
Yeah, you get this uncommon scenario where you actually find yourself hearing a backstory. And of course, it's a bit like he's trying to convict him of what he is, And then Tuco says, back then we lived on the streets. You either became a bandit or a priest, one or the other. You couldn't. That was the choice.
Yeah. Just the just the body language. You could just tell. Just the way that I don't know. I guess contempt. Disgust. The how upset he is with Tuco. And Tuco's just trying to blow it all off. You know.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm going to change the background, gentlemen. I've changed the background to the official poster.
Oh, the most dangerous man who ever lived.
Yep, the most dangerous man who ever lived. The man with no name. So it has to be the same character, I think. But
nope.
Yeah, now I've got to go back and look. I swear I don't think they are, but I'm not going to swear to it. It's just
they're only connected by cast and director and music, and that's it.
Oh man, just three great movies.
This is again the idea that we've talked about before with westerns, which is these characters are like ghosts. They're legends. These are stories being told by somebody.
Yeah, I mean that's the genius of them, because they're like folk heroes. Because it's like, well, they don't need names; they're everybody's story.
Exactly. What we've got a nickname. We don't know who they were.
Mm-hmm.
Did they even exist? And they've sort of been lost in the mirage of the plains, haven't they? Like I think that's the idea of like High Plains Drifter and what was the other movie along the same lines as High Plains Drifter? It was
High Plains Drifter and Hang 'Em High, right? Those are the two.
No. It was High Plains Drifter and
Josie Wales.
Yeah, Josie Wales.
No, it was the one where he defends the colony of miners.
I'm drawing a blank. There were so many of them, though.
Yeah, I'm just because High Plains Drifter is where he plays the person who's come back from the dead, who's out for revenge, isn't he? And
he was lynched.
Whereas the other one is
Hang 'Em High is where he's like a resurrected.
Pale Rider. That's
Pale Rider.
Pale Rider is the antithesis to it. It's a duet.
Mm-hmm.
Pale Rider is where he comes back as a sort of angelic character who's out
one he's angelic and one he's demonic, right?
That's right. So is the angel? He's like a nemesis. He's meting out judgment to people who who deserve it. But in the other one, he's just wreaking revenge on everybody who turned their back on him. So here we're at timestamp wise, we're just gone 1 hour 28 on my copy, and they're much rested. And Clint looks great in that Confederate uniform, I have to say. Not that I'm advocating for Confederacy.
He's wearing the wrong outfit.
Grey looks nicer than blue, I have to admit. But to be honest, like I was saying earlier, the American Civil War was probably the darkest period in American history, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah. You literally had brother against brother. Yeah, it's not just a saying.
Yeah.
I know. Going back through my family tree, you find the ones that were in the Confederate Army. You find the ones that were in the Union Army.
Mm-hmm.
Just. All over the place.
Yep.
I mean, it was the make or break for America, wasn't it? Really,
yes.
The country could have ended completely.
Well, just the severity of the battles is just we can't even fathom by today's standards. Like I know when I went to the Smithsonian and they did a whole display of just the photographs of the battlefields, and you're just like in shock. Because the only thing similar I would say is World War I with the trench warfare.
Yeah,
it's very similar to that, but
it's
twice as bloody because where the gas was killing people. This is people just being chopped apart.
Well, within 85 years, though, from 1776 to 1861, 85 years, you have a nation which is born and then immediately was at war with itself within 85 years.
Yeah.
85 years,
really
it's like
reborn.
It's literally great. It's just like grandfather to grandson generations,
Yeah.
Three generations, within 3 generations. So you could have somebody who was a child in 76 who was old enough to be alive to see the country ripping itself apart, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, the
But I
country
mean,
was
in a
really
sense,
like
though-
reborn because
But
it's
in a
like,
sense, though, the American Civil War was the second Civil War because
Yeah.
the War for Independence was also a civil war.
Yeah.
But the difference there was at the end of the Civil War in 65, I think, the Confederates didn't leave the country and go to America, to go to Canada.
No,
So-
that's true.
Which is another reason why people hate the Canadians, apparently. That's where everybody went.
I love this scene coming up.
This is a great scene, isn't it?
Yes.
So along comes this army in grey. Down with General Grant. Who's the General Lee?
And I just love like the halo of dust around those riders. It's amazing.
Yes. Yeah. You can see that.
Here he comes. They're not grey. They're blue. You're an idiot, Tuco. There we go. And now we're in a prisoner of war camp.
There you go.
I mean, Civil War prisoner of war camps were basically just like you weren't meant to come out of those alive, really.
They were awful. Well, there were a couple that were like really comparable to the Holocaust. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's Andersonville is probably the most famous. Of just awful.
Is that,
awful.
I'm thinking of a scene from Gangs of New York now where they're New York Harbor, the Irish are literally coming off one boat and being welcome to America and being given a uniform, a Union uniform. Off you go to fight in the war. It's just like literally from Ireland, and I go here, get there you go, son. Welcome, Irish son of Ireland. There's your that's your uniform.
Yeah.
It's like a constant, steady stream.
Yeah, we weren't exactly welcoming with open arms to the Irish. No. And
well, I mean, a lot of Irish were very successful in the army, weren't they? So,
well, you know, the Irish people came in, they assimilated, and they worked hard, you know. But,
so this is a sobering scene, isn't it? In the, I mean, what I find fascinating here, all these extras are Spanish and Italian, and I think the commanding officer here is dying of tuberculosis, isn't he? Consumption,
probably consumption.
Some sort of, yeah. He's on his way out anyway, bless him. And
yeah, I mean, it's amazing. It's a miracle America existed after the Civil War. You had the Civil War, which by today's numbers, I think is like 200 million.
So it's ludicrous, isn't it?
Oh,
died.
yeah.
And then at the same time, you had 1 in 5 people dying from TB.
Yeah, because you had the spread of disease through injury and through lack of food, and you know, which is what happens during warfare. And it is.
While the soldiers were dying at war by the hundreds of thousands, people at home were dying by the hundreds of thousands from TB consumption.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable. Like it's hard to believe that there was even anything left.
And I don't think I don't know whether I haven't researched it, but I don't think foreign powers got involved in it, did they really? Or did they? I don't know. Maybe they did.
No. I think there was a pretty hard press from the Union to keep Britain, France, and other powers out of it.
Yeah,
because that was a major concern.
I would imagine it was a wait and see policy.
Yeah,
it's like, well, let's see what's left. Maybe we can go take it over.
Lee Van Cleef's just appeared and turned out to be a Union officer. And he heard the name Carson because Tuco was posing as Carson, right? And that's piqued his interest. And here's the sergeant who's very much like the torturer from Fistful of Dollars, isn't he? And based upon Sanjuro, you know, the big guy who's like beats people up. I like big fat men like you. When they fall, they make more noise. And sometimes they never get up. But but yeah, I mean, the uniforms are really good, aren't they? I mean,
Mhm.
they've made sure that the costumes are good.
I mean, what happened? Like our fashion just fell apart after this.
Oh yeah.
I think
Yeah,
that
we
goes
became
for the whole
slovenly.
world, doesn't it? But
Like the American Army, when it became like, the cavalry you see later after this with like the blue and gold stripes, amazing.
well, for a time, the American Army looked exactly like the British Army during the American Mexican War. They had practically the same kind of outfit, and then in the First World War, they looked like the Tommies, the same helmets, the same uniforms.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't
Yeah.
until the 1930s the American helmet and the American equipment became unique and specialized, and the GI that we all recognize was born in the 30s, I think. Because I think that was part of the First World War. I think was where America just went onto the world stage, wasn't it? So
Yeah.
well, and it's when our industry exploded. Like,
Yeah.
in World War II,
changed
like
everything.
that's
First
why
World
we
War.
could win World War II, because it was like we could build planes faster than they could shoot them down.
That was
Yeah.
proven in the Civil War, though, wasn't it? With the gun factories in the north.
Yeah. Yeah, the North had all the resources. Like their soldiers had, like I was saying before, the food rations that were edible and could actually sustain a body. They had shoes, they had weapons.
So here we get the commandant of the camp, who's here because he's on the way out, and it's similar to the character from Once Upon a Time in the West, isn't it? You know, the guy who owns the railroad who's dying.
Oh yeah.
His dream to get to the coast and see the Pacific Ocean. So it's a similar kind of character. He's dying. He's on his way out, but he's determined to see something before he goes. And there's that theme there, which is what the band plays later on as people get beaten up.
Sorry, Gatling gun envy.
Gatling gun, which was used to great effect by the British, actually. Changed warfare altogether, all of that. The theme we're listening to right now by Ennio is, I think it's called "The Death of a Soldier." I'm not sure. I'd have to look it up, but
and it's very similar to the Once Upon a Time in the West themes,
isn't it? It's that sort of pathos going through it, like sort of the hope of a man to see things through, But amazing, beautiful scene. The photography, filmography. You could see that as an oil painting, couldn't you? The scene you're looking at.
Oh, absolutely.
And the scene is set. A fascinating time, though. I mean, the 1860s, the 61 to 65, I think, wasn't it? And was that right? 4 years.
That's
Civil
correct.
War?
Yeah.
I mean, amazing time. But here we have Tuco, who's been summoned to see Angel Eyes Santanza, who's essentially he's the real commander of the camp because the commandant is ill. So he's taken it upon himself to take over control, and just by pure luck, he was there when Tuco came along. I love the way. By the way, I love the way Lee Van Cleef eats in these movies. Everything he eats, every spoonful he puts in his mouth, he makes the food look delicious, doesn't he? It's just he has such a lust for life, doesn't he? I think one of the last movies he did was Escape from New York, wasn't it?
Oh, I'm trying to think.
He plays the guy who sends.
That was a later one, definitely.
That was a great role. I'm trying to think. I don't remember what came after that. When was that?
I've also got to say as well, Ralph, do you know food tastes better when it's eaten out of terracotta earthenware like that?
Well, that's a scientific fact. Absolutely.
Some nice chorizo sausage and
Well, and I'm going to start drinking bourbon out of cups
Yeah,
like that.
I think Flash has
bowler
lost his avatar there. Shall we change?
No, no. Am I still here?
Your avatar's gone. We've got like a
Wonder why.
stucco.
Yeah, you got like the face of Mars there. Oh, you must have turned your camera on.
All right,
That's
okay.
strange.
Turn your camera off,
Hang on.
Flash, because I'm not dissing the stream.
There it is.
There you go.
I must have hit the button by accident.
Do you remember the Pelham 123 stream, Flash? That was taken down because of a Flash face docs.
Oh.
But yeah, I mean, do you have tapas bars out there then, Ralph?
I'm sorry?
Tapas bars.
Oh, yeah.
Where they serve them all the tapas in the little earthenware.
Oh, you mean tapas, not tap ass.
Oh, sorry, it's a different.
Yeah, we have those too.
Yeah. And
where it's all appetizers.
Yeah. Well, it all started in Spain, where they put a piece of bread on the top of their beer to stop the flies getting into the beer. That's how the whole thing.
We have them in this area, but they're not that great because it's not a big thing. Like if you go to like Florida, like Miami, it's huge. But like here, it's like
Yeah. I would love to go. I'd love to go to Mexico sometime. The somewhere non-touristy and safe. So
yeah. Well, we've got to get you to Texas first, because I was just thinking that Gatling gun reminded me you can actually rent a Gatling gun. So we'll go to the range down here and we'll rent one and let you throw some lead down range.
You can relive Django. That's awesome.
Oh man, it's a beautiful weapon too.
The old black powder stuff's okay, isn't it? Because the modern bullets have got all sorts of poisons in them, haven't they?
Well, yeah.
Some of the high velocity stuff.
It depends. Some of the range, some of the ammo is limited at the ranges which you can fire.
So here we get the band performing this, and the beautiful juxtaposition of this happy song while he's getting the shit kicked out of him.
Oh yeah.
Putting the play louder to cover up the sounds of the yells.
And it's, just think Tuco's three hitmen use the sounds of the troops going through town to cover their approach.
Mm-hmm.
Now you got Angel Eyes doing the same thing with
the bad.
Yep, and as he laughs.
Terrible.
Yeah, and everybody knows what's going on.
Everybody knows what's going on, and then they tell each other, don't they? So,
yeah, word gets around.
Mm-hmm. It's such a great movie, though, because we get this whole scene, and we're at this point in a lot of movies that this would be towards the end of the film, but there's such a long way to go at this point. So, I guess this movie is the most like an odyssey, isn't it? It's because there's so much to it.
Yeah,
and it's not, again, it's well paced. There's not much fat on it, but because a movie doesn't have much fat on, doesn't mean it's going to be a quick movie.
Oh no, it
burns.
burns.
Time when going to the movies was an event.
Yes.
When Morricone
said the whole family, you were there for the whole night.
do you know what it is? I really want a cigar now. I really want a proper cigar.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this and thinking, I really wish I had a nice cigar now.
Yeah, a cigar and a big skillet full of beans.
Yeah, chili beans. And, I've had that already, actually. I had some. I am all burritoed up. So there we go. Wallace will punch your friend as long as the song goes. So many of us have had a session in there. It's a great scene, though, isn't it? Because this is going on.
Oh, yeah, and it just goes on and on. It's like, modern cinema. Yeah, he'd come in. Wallace would just beat the crap out of Tuco, and they'd get to it. Whereas this just drags on. Tuco fights back. Looks like he might get the upper hand or give a good fight. Then, boom, he just beats him down again.
But it's like 2 or 3 films in one, because you get to this stage and then you go through a completely different, like I say, an odyssey, a journey which goes out into, they get out the camp. Sorry to spoil it, but and then there's another 2 or 3 stages to the story after this, which is what a real narrative should be like.
Yeah, and look at the emotion in the violin
the
player's
violinist's
eyes.
Yeah.
He's just
crying,
so torn by what he's got to do. Yeah,
and yeah, and I think I can't see his fingers on the fingerboard, so I don't know whether he's a real violinist. I'd be able to tell you, see, because I can play the violin.
Oh, see?
Not very well, but I can play it to a basic level.
Yeah. I know what one looks like.
On the fiddle.
The fiddle. Yeah. Same thing, just how you do it. Oh, into the eyes.
Oh, dear. Terrible. Terrible. By the way, who was talking about like Walkmans with the big headphones?
Oh, yeah, that was me, both Flash and I.
All right.
Oh, nice.
He's digging the music.
Good beat. I can shoot to it.
I can shoot to it. He's loving the music. I'll tell you that.
Digging it.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to mute for a sec. Let me grab a bit of water. I'll be right back.
Lee Van Cleef just makes you want to smoke a pipe.
He does, doesn't he? I mean, everything he does with relish, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And this is the difference. So Tuco, beat the crap out of him. With Blondie, with Clint, though, he just gives him a whole set of clothes. And why we're going for a ride? Because he knows that even if he beat him up, he still wouldn't tell him. Because he knows that as soon as he tells him, he'll kill him. So there you go. That's the difference between Tuco and him. And again, we've got this character like Odysseus, haven't we? Like Ulysses. Clint is the man with no name. It's exactly like that's what Odysseus is called when the Cyclops tries to kill him.
Oh, that's right.
Cyclops tries to kill Odysseus. Says, "Who are you?" And he says, "I am nobody." So I mean, I'm pretty sure Sergio Leone, was familiar with classical literature.
Mm-hmm.
By classical, I mean Greek and Roman.
Well, it makes all of these movies like everybody loves them.
Gives them an extra dimension,
and it because you can imprint yourself on them because
and that's the beauty of it.
You become the main character because there is no name.
And that's the essence of a good narrative. That's the essence of narrative, isn't it? That's the essence of narrative. So, So,
well, and that's another thing these movies introduced was like a gray area.
Exactly.
They hear, like you said, he's good, but I mean, he's good because he has a code of honor, but not much else. That's
true. I mean, all of them have a code of honor, but that doesn't mean a hill of beans, does it? If what you're honoring, or in other words, what you're carrying out to do is evil in the first place,
Oh, look at that camera!
I love his straw hat.
Where they have to sit there for an hour to wait for that film to start.
And that's a proper like Panama straw hat he's got there. And the opening scene there, a perfect direction with the train coming out. Look at all the black smoke coming out of that train there.
Yeah, that's and people don't realize until you get to ride on a train like that how much smoke, ash,
steam and the smell. Yeah.
Well, and all the bits of burning, whatever they're using to
Oh
fuel
yeah, the
it.
cinder that falls on you while you're. Yeah, that's terrible.
It's funny though. It's funny though. There's something nice about the smell of a cold fire. It's beautiful smell. I like it, me. I mean, I come from an area of the world where coal is in plentiful supply.
There you go.
I know when I was really little, my mother took me on a coal burning train, like a scenic railroad kind of thing. And she was like, all you did was cry, cry, cry. And we're like, oh, stop crying. And she realized I was getting burned by the cinders hitting me. So the reason her baby was crying is because it actually had burns all over its arm.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, if we ever come over to my part of the world, I'll show you Dial Cottage, which is where George Stephenson used to live. And he was the guy who there was a bunch of people inventing the train, but he was the one who got it right and got it successful,
Well, if I ever make it over the pond and I'm not arrested immediately after arriving, I'll be happy to take you up on that.
Just pretend you're Canadian, you'll be fine.
Oh, I can apologize. Sorry.
Just start going, hey,
sorry.
Beauty,
Yeah,
eh?
after love the mortar at the end.
It is good, isn't it? Good little plot there. And then there's Old Glory hanging from the side there. And this is something interesting about America. You're not afraid of putting your national flag out everywhere.
Oh no,
that looks so cool. We can't help it.
It does look cool, but most of it was designed by the British. It's only the bit in the corner that you did.
bollocks! I say, bollocks.
What are you trying to say about Betsy Ross?
Well, that Betsy Ross
America.
I've got to say, I'm sorry for being controversial.
Oh no, don't do it.
Is the Ring of Stars, isn't it?
Yes.
I hate to tell you, you're wrong because that flag was designed by Betsy Ross and Stone Cold Steve Austin.
But isn't it Masonic though? The Ring of Stars.
I cannot swear to it, but I would not be surprised.
EU did the same thing, didn't they? So
I'm going to say yes because the founding fathers were incredibly Masonic.
Yes.
Well, according to National Secret, anyway, the National Treasure. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Gonna steal the Declaration of Independence. Oh.
I'm like the modern Jimmy Stewart.
Peace.
I was in Raising Arizona. That was quite a good movie, but everything after that was total crap.
What did it burn?
We're going to have Raising Arizona on either your channel or mine. That's a must watch.
Are we
changed, huh?
Or he's running away with the bag of
Turn right here.
So Angel Eyes has already recruited his little band of outlaws there. Meanwhile, Tuco is on the train to be
the rope
executed or imprisoned, one of the two. This is where he works out how to. He's handcuffed to the big lug, and he works out how to.
The layout of that, like you said, it looks like a painting. Like everything, it's just so meticulous.
Beautiful cinematography.
I mean, this is the eye of. You're looking through the eye of the artist, and the artist in this case is. The art is painting with moving picture, isn't he? Rather than with oils.
Well, you can definitely see it, especially with these modern copies of it, where you'll see close-ups on faces, and you can actually see where they've done makeup to highlight their features.
Yeah. Well, and Pete brought up the this being in Spain and how it resembles the West. The more I watch it, it really hits the desert.
Yeah.
If you didn't know it was filmed in Spain, you would just think it was filmed in
Nevada,
Utah, Texas.
But that's like a big separation between the American Westerns, because at this point they'd be going through Monument Valley if it was an American movie.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the American Civil War was fought out west, was it?
No, no, that was
No,
mainly territories.
there were a few battles here and there, but there weren't that many people out there at the time.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to get you've got to get past Oklahoma, haven't you, before it starts going?
Well, it started in the West, pretty much in Kansas.
Yeah,
I mean, the genesis of it was bloody Kansas, but
I mean, it's like
Texas, mainly fought on the East Coast.
Colorado, Wyoming. That's where it starts going like a desert, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, basically where I'm at in North Texas is we're at the edge of before it becomes the desert.
So
and people out west didn't care enough, and plus, the news didn't get there till a year later. So it took 6 months to a year to get the news. So I doubt we even knew there was a war going on for a long time.
So I think it's nicely done, but it is a bit anachronistic. Well, a bit misleading the way that we've got this background of the Civil War with we're essentially way out west and over here. Maybe it's Kansas, maybe it's the prairies, but he's dragged the sergeant out. He's died, being dragged out, but now this beautiful way to separate them. Wait for the train to come along.
Wait on the train.
First Nation called it the Iron Horse.
Yes.
And here we go. I mean, that train's going to pick him up with a belly like that.
Oh, absolutely. That cow catcher's going to pick him and flip him.
I love the design of American trains, by the way. Those huge chimneys and the massive pointy front. Everything in America, I mean, up till now, because it's not like that now, but everything in America up to like the 80s was different. You had huge pointy square cars. And your trains were garish and outlandish.
Oh yeah,
everything was bigger than life, and that was an American trait, and I think that's gone now. It's disappearing.
Well, it's still here, but it doesn't get the glamour. I mean, the majority of American goods are still transferred by trucks and rail. Unless it's time sensitive, things like overnight shipping and things like that are through the air. But
here's another oil painting.
Yeah.
Beautiful sort of turquoise blue that the uniforms have. I mean, the film they used captures the color. I mean, there's sadly a roadside execution there, and terrible that this kind of stuff happened. And in war, morality just goes out the window, really. So
if you deserted, you would either be branded, oftentimes on your face with a C for coward. I'll flash your live again.
Your camera's showing up again.
You'd be executed. So
can you switch back to your avatar again, Flash?
There you go, buddy.
Thank you.
It was my headphone thing swept across the screen and turned it off.
Oh, you gotta love it, man.
Headphones. I'm loving the beat. Yeah.
That would be a great sample to throw in. There you go.
I'm getting my Honda Civic. Go drop some beats.
You just got to time it right. Why are you? So here, this beautiful scene in the middle of a war where, I mean, again, there wasn't any battles fought out this far, but I mean, it's a great idea, a great scene where you've got a cannon fire coming in from one army. The Union army, I think, is retreating in this instance. It looks like.
More than likely. Civilians.
Because the early part of the war, the Union were on the back foot, weren't they? So I'm not sure. I don't know. Here's Letty. Remember from the start of the movie, the very start of the movie?
Yeah.
And he's just seen Tuco. He was shot in his right arm. here's Tuco trying to get a room for the night. So timestamp wise, we're coming up to 2 hours exactly. 2 hours, gentlemen. Just as he rang the bell there.
That's right.
I don't know whether you had this. We used to have something called the speaking clock. We used to you can ring up on the phone.
Yes,
At the
yes.
stroke, the time will be exactly 7.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we used to have that.
The weather is 25 degrees and the time is
love those things.
12:01.
It was just a novelty of. Did you? I mean, I don't know whether you had something called. We knew it as CFAX or teletext. It was something on your TV. You could click on it and it would give you. It was the first version of the internet, where it would give you text, computer text of TV listings and weather and news and everything.
Oh, yeah.
You must have
like
like
that scrolling, like the bars.
You would click a button on your remote, and it would take you into text. And there's like a 3-number page, like 159, and it would take you to, the weather report or whatever. You remember that? We used to call it text. So he's found he's found a sort of tepid bathtub. He's putting all the bath salts in there. Now, if you're not from Nevada, bath salts means actual Epsom salts.
Yes,
not something that makes you into a drug zombie.
We're not going to. Tuco's not going to eat anybody's face off. Oh, another comment from Raymond.
Oh, hang on. You see, they don't come through on StreamYard very quickly. Here we go. Raymond's still here. Hello, Raymond. I'm glad you're still here with us.
Oh, yes.
Can you imagine if Kim of North Korea would make a Korean version of Good, Bad, and the Ugly? He loves Westerns. I hasten to think what that would be like. It would probably be something like The Fat,
the short, bad haircut.
Short, the Dead, and the Fat, or something.
So Ronry.
Rick Baldwin. And here he is. And look at that face. I've been looking at him for 8 months. It's great because he gives this huge monologue, And then I learned to shoot with my left. Bang! Yeah, he's gun in the bath. Oh man! And then shoots him again for good luck. Bang!
Never monologue, man. Never monologue.
When you have to shoot, don't talk. Why?
Exactly.
Hey, look, he's found a kitten.
Yeah, it's Clint with a kitten. It's young Clint with a kitten.
I'll call you Little Blondie.
Hey, ladies,
I'm wearing my trademark outfit.
He's got his sheepskin waistcoat on.
Sheepskin vest and modern day Wrangler jeans.
Gillette.
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you remember when everybody used to have sheepskin rugs in their house?
No, Pete, because our parents weren't pimps.
Fair enough. We had in Britain in the 1980s. You had to have a sheepskin rug by the fire, and my cat used to make out with it. Literally, like small things couldn't unsee.
Yeah.
Let's just say if you have a male cat and you got a sheepskin rug, look away.
Yeah. I'm glad you warned me.
My friend's cat was like that with any blanket or towel that would be laying anywhere in the house.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like you open up the door to the bathroom and it's just in there with the towel, and you're like, "Oh, sorry, I'll come back later."
Well, yep. Get a room.
Cool. Oh, you took off the door. Why didn't you say anything?
Yeah.
Get out of here. I'm busy. One of my favorite things is that you sent me that rap cat. That is one of the most hilarious things. The fact that all he says is meow. That's just genius.
Rap cat. I loved it because it started as a joke and they ran with it for like a year.
But that's satire. That's perfect satire.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people who accuse Americans and say you can't do satire, they're completely wrong.
Yeah.
Plenty of examples of American satire.
And by the way, fans of Rap Cat, on Monday is $1 fries day at Checkers and Rallies.
Ooh.
It's going to be the next Christmas in America.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to see if we've got one here in this area.
So here we've got both characters of Tuco and Blondie who've met up with each other, not knowing where they were. So, Blondie didn't realize Blondie was free, and he didn't realize Tuco was free.
Yeah. Of course, I also have to point out Tuco's logic of locking the door in a building where the walls are blown out. Like, come on, dude. Yeah. Strategy's not my best strength there, Blondie.
Well, speaking as somebody from an Irish background, I can say this without being accused of anything. There must be a similarity between the Mexican brain and the Irish brain.
Well,
How'd you get in? It's like the Father Ted thing. Very small, far away.
This cow is tiny. That cow is far away.
Far away.
I don't get it.
Spider baby. It's the body head of a baby.
A baby.
Feck.
Girls, drunk.
Girls.
Remember the one where Father Jack was actually infected because he drunk so much he started turning into like a werewolf?
Oh yeah, his yearly time?
Put him in an old priest's home where all the priests had the tradition, and they went to get him back again, and they got the wrong one by mistake, and they put him in the back of the car, and it was only when he was in the back of the car they realized, wow, I've never actually seen a stage 4 before. So here we go back to the movie, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
2 hours, 7 minutes. We've got a duel coming up here, where Tuco is going to be ambushed by Angel Eye's gang of goons,
and still no holster. He's carrying it in his pocket.
On a pocket.
You know, as most people actually would have, because holster gun rigs weren't like a popular thing.
Well, if you can pull it out of your pocket quick enough,
it was expensive. Yeah, like the myth, the most popular myth in westerns is everyone drinks whiskey. They always get to the bar and they buy a whole bottle.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And here we go.
At the time, like I think even like a glass of whiskey was like a month's salary because it was so rare in the West that
gin was
just a shot of whiskey would be like a month's worth of pay.
Gin's the cheapest drink ever, and it rots. It's horrible stuff. But
oh yes.
Why is Clint helping Tuco?
Because he's good.
Are you gonna die alone? There's another one of those angled barrels.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a little too high there.
So the music, you've got that snare drum with do do do. A lot of that music in the 1960s, like Planet of the Apes, used that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's almost I was going to say atmospheric, but I guess almost more industrial. Just kind of some noise to go in between the swells. Oh, they're about to get the drop on them from behind, and.
See, if that was a mortar, there'd be shrapnel going everywhere.
Oh yeah,
but they couldn't do it. The actors that have dead actors on set.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, didn't they have the problem with a lot of those cannonballs kind of bounced?
Oh yes, yeah. The movie The Patriot.
Yeah, they did that really well.
Yeah, that summed it up pretty good.
Because there's a lot of Civil War stories of people like losing their legs to like the cannonball that just keeps going.
Yep. It just hits, rolls, keeps going.
Yeah.
That movie, I think got a lot. It was good. I'm not going to say good. It was accurate with some of the brutality. Of course, they Hollywooded it up. But I think the one that was just the most gut-wrenchingly accurate is Saving Private Ryan, the Omaha Beach.
Yeah, I had my stepmother's father was there.
Oh, okay.
And he was in the motor pool, which means he's the guy who went in after the invasion and cleaned up the beach.
Oh, yeah.
Like he kept the boats running while the invasion was going on. He was working on all those engines, making those things go. And then when the invasion's over, his people went in and basically were scooping up arms and legs. And
not good.
Yeah.
During that scene of the movie, he had to leave.
Oh, I can imagine. My wife's grandfather was communications. He came in, I think, a week afterwards.
Yeah.
And he actually gave my youngest son a map of the route that they took through France into Germany. So his trek through Europe, he marked it, all the towns that they hit and stopped at. But anyway, back, as Pete said, back to the movie. We do tend to run off on tangents, but hopefully it's entertaining.
I'm extremely excited. Clint's wearing a long rider coat now.
Oh, yes. Oh,
or what's left of one.
You know what? Yeah. Now I can help you. I can help you with trench coats too.
I'll tell you a quick
there's
story.
Cavenders out here.
I'll tell you a quick story, and I have a reputation for this apparently. When the movie we talked about earlier, Pale Rider, came out, okay, and the cast of baddies all wear long rider coats.
Okay.
I saw the movie. I was a young teenager at the time, and I went into my local city centre. This is before the internet, where the standard joke was, "Have you got this? No. Have you got this? No." So basically, there's never. So I went from store to store with a picture. I actually researched it at the library and took a photocopy from an old book. I found the illustrations in an old book, and I went around all the stores and said, "Have you got this coat? Have you got this coat?" No, because it'd been on the movies and everything. It'd been on the movie,
right?
And nobody had one. No, I don't have one. 2 years later, or even a year later, they were in all the stores.
Oh,
and everyone was wearing them. So you see, I was ahead of my time.
Oh, yeah. Let me guess. They all showed up about the time The Matrix came out?
No, it was about 1 or 2 years after, because a lot of the Western movies copied that Pale Rider movie, and that I think a lot of people were impressed by that, and how movies influence fashion.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, we're this actor here who has been in many spaghetti westerns. We found out Blondie's from Illinois, by the way.
So he's a good guy. They were abolitionists up there, I believe.
So,
yeah.
Now the bloke doing the voice of this character has done the voice of so many different actors. I don't know the guy's name, but this looks like an Italian Oliver Reed, also because he's an alcoholic.
It does.
He is actually Olivio Ridio.
Really?
Buongiorno, Olivio.
Buongiorno.
Oliver Reed.
Oh, yeah, that's the voice of, yeah. I know the voice actor's voice right away. He was an Inspector Detector on Speed Racer.
See that bottle of wine he's just pulled out there with the cords on the outside? I don't know why the Italians do this. They're like binding their bottles up with cord and everything. Yeah, I mean, if
they're drunk and you need to get a good grip on it.
Have you ever had a bottle of Barolo?
It looks nice. I don't. I mean, why do we put sturdy grips on toothbrushes?
It's a good point.
Be honest, if you need a grip on your toothbrush, you probably don't need a toothbrush.
Yeah.
It just looks nice.
So we're back in the war again. This is a battle going on where it's a battle for a bridge, as usual.
Yeah.
How many times have we talked about that before? Battles for bridges.
That's it. It's the supply lines. That's what it's all about.
Yep. Rivers and bridges.
And this guy's method of coping with the horror of war is that he self-medicates with alcohol.
You know, and I think Virginia, a lot of them were over roads because, supply line and places to march.
Yeah.
Now,
well,
remind me when we get through this section.
Gatling gun.
With multiple magazines
on a drum.
Look at that.
Yeah. All right. So remind me when we get through this section. I want to point something out. So
Yeah.
But, this is no different. In an American Western, they would have shot it in California, and it still would have looked like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
It still wouldn't look like anywhere the Civil War happened.
Yeah. This is probably springtime in Spain, in northern Spain,
Yeah.
where the rains have been, and you get some greenery coming up.
Like before Gettysburg, the only Civil War movie I think that got it close to right would be Red Badge of Courage with Audie Murphy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Audie Murphy, what a character! I mean, what an amazing character! I mean, not many Audie Murphys around.
Like 5'4" tall and took down a tank. Took down a tank.
Unbelievable.
Driving from Texas into Arkansas, you go past the Audie Murphy Museum.
Yeah.
So
there's not many in Britain. There's not a lot of Americans that we acknowledge, but Audie Murphy is somebody that Britons know. Audie Murphy is somebody who we acknowledge as somebody who was made of stronger stuff.
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
I just read up a lot of stuff about him because I was reading a biography of William Malden, who was the cartoonist that did Stars and Stripes magazines in World War II. And they knew each other. Like, they fought side by side in the war. And then in Audie Murphy's life story, To Hell and Back, he's actually in that movie. And he's telling the stories about, because Audie Murphy suffered from what we call PTSD until the day he died. And he basically never slept. For like 10 years. He just, never got a night's sleep because he had such horrible nightmares. And
I can believe it. Yeah, it's not something anybody's really equipped to do, is it? Really, the human.
But he said he'd never seen a human being that was like that. Like, he was like superhuman in battle, because he would just a switch would turn, and his humanity is gone, and he's just pure war machine. And he's like, it was just, and then like, as soon as the action was over, he was back to like sweet little kind 17-year-old kid.
Yeah, that's like a Celtic thing. It's like, the Irish and the Scottish had like berserkers. Berserkers was a type of
he really, like, the way he describes it is like that, because it was like as soon as there was a drop of violence, he would just turn on, and
they were going to
Murphy was gone and Warrior was in town. It's
like a battle frenzy. The Vikings had berserkers as well. It was like a tactic in war. So on the screen, we're looking at the supreme. The general of this detachment, garrison, on the other side of the river, being shelled by the other side where the Confederates are. And of course, this is a futility of war, because when we get to the other part, the other side of the river, we discover that the Confederates have left pretty shortly afterwards, don't we?
Exactly.
But it's, and the question remains, and it's a contentious point. What was the Civil War actually fought for? Who started the ball rolling? Who made the money out of the Civil War?
Oh yeah. Well, it all depends on who you ask on who gets blamed.
It's not like the English Civil War, which was fought to defeat a king, Charles I, who was insane. But because the American, we already had a constitution, so it is. There's some interesting truths might come out from all of that. Of course, our Civil War wasn't followed by anything but 6 years of prosperity. Then we restored the monarchy stupidly. So there we go.
Well, not everybody's perfect, like America.
Hey, but we executed our king, chopped his head off.
Well, there you go.
And the hangman, the executioner, didn't even say, "Behold the head of a traitor," because he didn't want to be recognized by his voice. Anyway, back to the movie, ladies and gentlemen, and we're coming at 2 hours 20. Ding! And
there you go. Yeah.
That was a neat thing in the Civil War. Is near me is Harper's Ferry, where a lot of it began with the John Brown raid on the gun factories to try to free the slaves. And the tragic thing was the first person they shot was a freed slave.
Yeah.
But General Lee is the one who arrested him and and ordered the hanging. And the doctor who attended the hanging lived probably what would now be an hour from there, outside of Bull Run. And the doctor, he wrote about it, and he was like, well, I don't think John Brown was that bad because he was fighting for people's freedoms, blah, blah, blah. And his famous last words was like, I feel this will come back on me. I feel guilty somehow. And then a year later, the entire Confederate Army took over his farm and camped on his farm and in his front yard on their way to Bull Run to fight the big first, land battle.
Just look at the scope of this scene, this series here. All of the extras that are in the construction of the set, the practical effects that had to be done for all of this, just outstanding.
Yeah,
put on an actual war.
All the extras running down the hill was an amazing scene, and the collection of weapons there. I don't know whether they're all contemporaneous, but because it looked like there's some mortars there which are a bit old and some huge guns. I don't know, but I mean, it's the idea that once you get across the bridge, everybody's condensed. It's always a horrible thing to fight across the bridge. I mean, the Second World War became about bridges in the end, didn't it? So here, Tuco and Blondie have got a lot closer together through all of this. They've, they're soldiers of fortune. They know they need to stick together, and there's a lot of happenstance, the serendipity in these movies, isn't there? See how they discovered the explosives there, and they're going to blow the bridge up because they need to get through this battle to get to where the cemetery is.
Ooh, so beautiful dovetailed boxes too.
Yeah, nicely noticed. The hipsters could store their LPs of music in there.
I certainly would.
But they're trying to get rid of this battle and make the two armies walk away by blowing the bridge up, which is exactly what happens. The two armies do walk away once the bridge is blown up. So the commanding officer has been badly wounded by shrapnel. I mean, this is it, isn't it? I mean, the human body is completely ill-equipped for modern warfare.
Oh, absolutely. The body and the mind.
And the mind, yeah.
Indeed. Absolutely. I mean, it's always been so. So he's giving him his last drink, helping him on his way to Valhalla.
Yeah. A small bit of kindness.
Take a slug of this, Captain, and keep your ears
with your mortal injuries.
All he needs to do now is salute him. There is a bit of Sergio Leone never overplays the pathos element. It's always it's really high tea, isn't it? It's like, you stare death in the face with a strong upper lip.
Yeah. And I also want to come back to the captain here shortly too.
See, this thing about the stiff upper lip isn't unique to the British. It's there's
it's just a much valued and much sought after what's the word quality that more people should have.
And then people get
they stole the stretcher.
So here
It's
they
all
go
right.
with the explosives.
And isn't that's like the American image though, is like the stoic person.
Well, yeah, either
the
that or
West, you know?
the obnoxious people wandering around the tourist traps. So,
Mhm.
but yes, you're right. For the
That's it.
West, that's it.
Yeah, I mean,
But what is it like in Tombstone? Like Billy Zane says that line when they see Wyatt Earp. He's like, "Oh, look at him, the cut of a Western man, like the lean demeanor, the stance of a cat."
we've got another oil
stoic
painting there,
face.
gentlemen. Another oil painting there, you see? Going through the fields of the smoke and the casualties. The silhouette against the bright lit light background.
Yeah. Yeah, that out west, that river, that's a huge one.
See how they pretended to pick up the dead body and then just
plop.
Yeah, out west, that's basically the Colorado River. So, but it's funny, they run through there with the stretcher and a box of explosives, and nobody says anything about the explosives.
It's my baby.
My baby.
And
my apologies, Pete. Oh, my baby.
What's the line? Am I gonna say it? I haven't seen my Willie in 10 years, not long enough. He's gone into hiding, hasn't he? He's not done anything in the age.
I haven't heard anything from Myers in a long time.
Well, anything he would do would be politically incorrect now, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like that last movie he did was a flop because of that, right? That guru thing.
Oh yeah, the Love Guru.
Like it got shot down before it even made money. People were like, "Yeah, this is still slightly offensive, even by today's standards," which was 10 years ago.
Although I'll give him the best line I think I've heard in years is you put the wrong the emphasis on the wrong syllable.
I thought you were going to say, "Give me a pound, lock it down, smoke the pickle, tickle, tickle."
No, that's a great one though. And there you go, the extent of 18th century medicine.
Yeah.
They used to use gunpowder, didn't they? To cauterize wounds and everything.
Yeah, in a pinch. However,
the pills that they had Lincoln on that really changed the medical field forever because Lincoln was slowly being poisoned.
I don't recall.
Was it mercury capsules? Maybe.
It wouldn't surprise me. Mercury,
something like that, and it was like he was literally turning gray because he literally died.
Yeah, it was probably mercury then.
This isn't good. This isn't, and he just stopped cold turkey taking his medicine, and all of a sudden he's like, "Hey, I feel good again.
Yeah,
my 5-year flu is over."
I'll give them in this. At least they used clean bandages. That's better than a lot of the Civil War stuff where it's like, just grab the next one back.
Yeah. Yep. So here now they're laying charges on the bridge. I'm sure you got that fuse wet there. Never mind.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how that one's going to work.
It's giving him the name of the cemetery, and or not. And there's
See, there were a lot. This is a kind of neat thing too. That this story takes place kind of during the war, but they're outside of it. Yeah, you got to figure like there was the third party in the Civil War of the people that were kind of unaffiliated.
As outsiders, again, they're performing the role of the two fools, which is again something that comes from Kurosawa. And in the film The Hidden Fortress, you have the two fools where the film starts and ends, and they're always on the outskirts of the story looking in.
Yeah.
And they are then reimagined as C-3PO and R2-D2 in the movie Star Wars. But also, if you go backwards the other direction, they're a reimagining of Guildenstein from Hamlet. So it's because
I love Tuco's defensive pose there.
Well, that's the bit with the most fat. If anything hits you there, you're going to be all right.
Yeah, except for you got the twig and berries that might get hit.
Well, you can't literally be shot in the ass and live fine, can't you? So
there you go, right there. The
How'd you get
captain.
your Purple Heart? I don't like to talk about that.
Yes.
So they did it for the captain, didn't they, Ralph?
Well, they didn't do it for the captain, but the captain is in his dying moment got to see that damned bridge that he has been the cause of his suffering gone.
The beautiful sound of it being blown up, and now you can rest in peace.
Exactly. I love that.
Futility of war.
And of course, I guess Tuco could have a meeting Lyndon Johnson type moment. I heard you got wounded. Gonna see.
I like the way Clint always rolls that cigar around in the corner of his mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very. Yeah.
That huge cannon on the hill there. That can't be 1860, an 1860s cannon. It just looks. It
doesn't look right to me. I would have to look at some of the Civil War places.
That looks like it's at least like turn of the century.
The little stubby ones are more like Spanish, right?
Yeah. Well, they had mortars like that during the Civil War. But the thing is the big one on the hill. The main holdout I have with that is it's too large to be mobile. It would be something that would be like, it would be like defending an established fort.
The barrel is really thick.
Yeah, and I always thought this was an interesting choice for it. You know, it sums up what happens very well, but it's just they're gone. You know, just like that.
The whole thing. And he's still got his arse in the air.
Yes, of course. Been there for long enough for both armies to move out.
Yeah, this is a funny scene.
Now this, and I got to come back to this while we go through it because this is the appropriate time. This strikes to a lot of the futility of war. You know, how many men have fought and died defending this bridge? Oh, the bridge is gone. Boom! Everybody pulls out.
But I think I think the scene about the way they're oblivious to everyone moving out, which they wouldn't be, it's symbolic of the fact that they're disconnected with what's going on around them. You know, they're on the outskirts of what's going on.
And I think that's a fair take on it. Yeah,
it's like that drifting through what's going on. You know, and now they're on the other side of the river, and there's the Confederate dead.
Yeah,
the name Confederate and Confederacy actually came from the Confederacy of Tribes, didn't it? The tribes had a confederacy.
I don't recall.
I'm pretty sure there was 12 tribes who had a confederate. I might be wrong.
I may be disowned for not recalling. You know, I know we had the Confederacy of States, but I'm not sure were they just determined on the Confederacy term.
Yes, I'm spitballing really.
I may have to go back to the old country and ask some of the old timers to find out.
Here's the burnt out chapel, it looks like. And there's some brilliant videos on YouTube that you can watch where they show this footage and then they superimpose it with the modern day footage.
Oh, I love those.
Oh.
There's a video. I'll send a link to you. There's a fantastic video, a couple of fantastic videos where they superimpose the actual location where they're standing.
Yeah.
You can
please do.
You can locate it by the distance and elevation of the hills. So, because the hills haven't changed, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
The Rambo one is really good. The first blood, because it's like everything is still there. Like where he finds his part, he uses a coat. That's still there. All those old machinery in the woods.
This is a beautiful scene here, Flash, with the young Confederate soldier dying, and you think about this is a young man who had a whole life ahead of him.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's been taken away from him because of the ambition of a few who wanted to start a war. The worst people on earth are warmongers.
Oh yeah.
And here he is here dying, and he gives him the cigar so he can have at least a couple of draws on the cigar, before he goes. As I said that, Ralph had a little suck on the vape.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry.
Well,
I hope
before I
that's
die.
not too noisy for you.
Couple of sucks on the vape there, boy.
I would love to have a big fat stogie in here, but
you see how he looks away for a minute and he takes a couple of draws on the cigar. Clint looks away, and as he looks back, the young lad's passed on. And that's always the case. Wars are started by old men, and it's the young men who always die.
Absolutely.
They are the cannon fodder.
Mm-hmm.
And he picks up the poncho.
Yeah. Bright sunshine now here, gentlemen. It's now almost 6:30 in the morning.
Oh, well, good Sunday morning to you. Oh, and Tuco is about to find the downside.
Yeah, he lights the fuse with his cigar. This is a really famous scene from the movie, isn't it? Bang! Wouldn't be allowed to do this now because you scared the horses.
Now, see, those are the average size cannons because they could be towed by a horse.
I love Eli's acting here where he puts his hands out. What the hell am I doing? Where am I? And then he falls against the gravestone. And here we are. Here we are.
Found the one.
Tree Hill. The famous.
Good. Another thing, too, with this movie is you don't realize how little Lee Van Cleef is in it.
Yeah, exactly. He just kind of comes in and goes.
Yeah.
This beautiful scene here. And the music you're listening to, gentlemen, is called The Ecstasy of Gold. And it's got that diddle, 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 diddle. And it's an absolutely beautiful piece of music. One of Ennio Morricone's most beautiful pieces of music.
Yeah, I love the underlying piano.
There's the dog running off.
Yeah.
And he starts running. And he runs, and the disorientation, this huge ceremony which was built specifically, and these mounds are still there. If you look,
that's amazing.
If you look from one of the hills, you can see all the mounds. This is all actual earth that created this entire thing for the movie. And the central plaza there, the circle, is grown over with grass. But if you look from a hill, you can see the outline. And you're going to see the madness as everything starts to spin around as he's trying to find the grave.
Oh, yeah. Think of trying to find one grave amongst those thousands.
And the way he runs, it's like this mad thirst to find the grave.
Hey, Raymond put in an answer to your question about the Confederation.
1792 agreement after 1775 war. There we go.
And he had a previous comment before that too.
There were a Confederate Indian agreement among 12. Yeah, I thought it was the 12 tribes.
There
I thought
you go.
Thank you very much, Raymond.
Yeah, thank you, Raymond.
Right. I thought I was just talking shit as normal.
I'm very appreciative of you coming in with your knowledge of Civil War era stuff, weaponry, and the history. Thank you.
Indeed. And so, one of the most beautiful pieces of music, this with the soprano, and that, as you said, it's opera, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
The only difference is there's no words, but the soprano voices the notes. And I've seen this live before, this piece of music, and it's it's electrifying.
Yeah.
Electrifying.
Well, and it's obvious that John Williams, or at least it seems that John Williams took inspiration from the use of vocals like that, not distinct words, but sounds for things such as Duel of the Fates later on.
And you know what you said about the fight scene earlier where he's getting beaten up and it goes on for a while?
Uh-huh.
It's going on for a while here. Now you hear the bell coming and the cowbell, like the like the bar bell. And it's like intoxicating, like that scene from Apocalypse Now.
Oh, yeah, just a massive crescendo as it builds until There.
Stanton, 1862. So it's amazing, isn't it? And it goes on and on and on, and it just builds and builds and builds and dwells on it. Modern movie doesn't do that. It doesn't dwell on any moment. It's one moment.
Jump cut, jump cut.
Exactly. Cut. Exactly. There's no
storytelling with the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, the visual medium has been lost. It seems like.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think red letter media, and I know other people have said it. You know, show, don't tell.
Yep.
Close up on the eyes. Obviously, it's been ridiculed, but it was a new thing at the time. You know, the close up on the eyes, the face says everything.
Yeah, but you know, the close in it's not done in a cheesy way though.
No.
You know, it shows the desperation. It shows the, you know, what's at that moment.
Mm-hmm. And you see, as he scrabbles through the dirt, his fingers are covered in rings. There's a coyote noise. And the silhouette of Blondie comes across the grave there.
Got a shovel.
There's a cup there behind him. I don't know where that came from.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Don't even try it, Tuco. The silhouette across the grave, it's also talking about, you know, we're alive right now, but someday we'll die, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
a lot of subtle imagery in the background.
That's amazing. The second bubble. I love that shot.
Yeah. And here we go with another layer. Here he is.
I brought another shovel.
Here's another thing. The duel is like 10 minutes long, like 9 minutes and 48.
Mm-hmm.
And now that would be what? 20 minutes of them doing backflips and then like 2 seconds of shooting.
Yeah. Well, here's why I'm the best
and this
guy.
This is like 9.5 minutes of just build up.
Exactly. And then you get that fantastic build up in the music, which was Sergio Leone could not have done these movies without Ennio Morricone's soundtracks.
Joe Biden's dead.
I mean, again, what we're talking about is that we're talking about that perfect alchemy of everything coming together to make the perfect thing, which is self-contained, it's self-sufficient. And that build-up, the music's called the trio when they stand in that ring, which is exactly like the way the three of them stand in the ring in A Few Dollars More, by the way.
Yep.
If you remember that. And and it gradually builds up, and then it goes to crescendo, and you think it's over, and it's not. It dies down, then it goes to crescendo again, and that's just like opera, you know. Yeah. And it's expectation and denial, expectation, and it's. I suppose these movies are like the modern opera.
They really. Well, I mean, the other movie I'd compare to that is Conan the Barbarian.
You know, I was thinking that very same thing because
where Basil Palladorius said when he wrote the score for that, he was like, "No, I'm writing." Well, he was told to write an opera.
Yeah, exactly.
And that movie really is like you watch it and you're like, "Wow."
Just like this is, in my opinion, the epitome of spaghetti western. Conan is the epitome of sword and sorcery, and these movies are. They are of their epoch. They're
pure sound and visual.
They are pure sound and vision. They are completely woven together, and they are one whole creation.
Oh yeah.
You can't say enough about it. Look at that scene there with the two of them staring at Clint. And look at that scene. I mean, you know. Look at the architecture of what you're looking at.
Yeah, like how the tombstones just drift off and turn into the scenery.
Like it's going off into an infinity. It's what it's saying is, we'll always have death on this world. There will always be death. Look at the infinity of graves.
Like behind Clint, the graves turn into trees.
And it's also trees are a metaphor for people. And wow. And like the three and the idea of the trilogy as well, you know, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, and the idea of the trilogy in us, mind, soul, and body, And then you've got these three characters who could very well be three parts of the same person. But also,
that's a great point too.
you've got the idea that these three people went in different directions. And finally, you've got the idea that they're surrounded by death, and yet they're racing to kill each other. The human condition, we can't stop. Even when we're looking at graves, we still can't stop killing each other over gold and over different things.
No, absolutely not.
So you like the wrong tweet, Tuco.
Yeah. Gonna have to cancel you. Right, a heart.
And he has the trumpet. Morricone didn't want it, but it sounds gorgeous.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, and the thing
works because it's the build up. You know, it's like the
gosh, just that long, steady far shot. Just
in
the
center.
framing in these.
Well, a circle represents completeness, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yep.
So they're
and
in the
there again, you go back to the life and death. Like we associate trumpets with graveyards and playing taps.
And then it all goes stone cold silent. And then the noise of the watch comes back.
I love that.
Oh yes.
Because that's it. So Morricone's harking back.
And we get to see his nub here too.
Yeah.
His missing finger.
Mm.
Yeah, that watch is just that piece is just so haunting.
Yeah.
You know, just that light little chime.
So
how often is that used in modern movies and TV shows now? Like that kind of little chimey.
Yeah, it's all about.
It's become a normal cue you hear in movies now.
It's because they built their own narrative, and now they're referencing their own narrative.
Yep.
And this is the epitome of those three movies, the Trinity, the trilogy of those movies. And we have a trilogy of characters here. You know, we have the Trinity here. So, and this music, like I say, is called, that's playing right now, it's called The Trio. And back we are again. And here we are again. The music's building up again. So we're back to another crescendo.
And I'm waiting for the eyes shifting left, right, and then the cat looks to left, right.
Really play this now, shouldn't I? You have a look
yeah,
what
you should play it.
Now, right? Okay, there you
go. It's perfect.
Rap cat.
Meow meow. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. There's a little taste of what we're watching right now.
That's it, man. Yes.
Oh, there it is. The missing fingertip.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I never noticed that. And then you get this amazing percussive element right at the end. Bum, bum, ba-da-ba-bum, 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 bum. What a genius. What an absolute genius. And there we go. Bang. Did you see they were both aiming at him?
Yeah,
both aiming at him. But Tuco's bullets, without knowing, Blondie took Tuco's bullets out. So he knew Tuco couldn't shoot him. So all he had to do was shoot Angel Eyes.
Yeah. But Tuco was going for him anyway.
So Tuco's reformed, hasn't he? He's no longer wants to kill. Eastwood.
I love how he shoots his belongings in the grave.
But look at the poise that Clint Eastwood has. And he's really anti-gun as well, Apparently, I think he is. I don't know. But just perfect.
It's pro-lawn, right?
Yes.
Yes. Stay off my lawn.
Want to take a ride in my really ugly Torino?
See the name under the rock. There's no name on there. Why is there no name on the rock, gentlemen?
Because it's the unknown grave next to Stanton.
Exactly. So what are we back to again? The man with no name.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody. My name is nobody.
Oh, every grave has a cup by it.
I am the unknown soldier
Oh, yeah.
who died without a name and without anybody knowing. Buried in a grave, nobody knows I'm here. What does that say?
Well, if you want to get philosophical in the end, we all eventually reach that point.
Yep.
We're here, we live, we enjoy, and then we become just part of the great history of humanity.
But isn't it great that, the hero with no name points to the grave of the man with no name? And you're right, it is a death. Who remembers us when we die?
Yeah.
I'll get super cultural now, and from the opera, who maybe Sergio Leone and Morricone knew about this, by Purcell, Dido and Aeneas. There's a song in there called "Remember Me." That's the idea of once you're dead, will anybody remember you?
Oh.
Here we go. Sacks are getting split open. Oof, look at that gold, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that gold.
There you go.
Oh, and the sack split open because the acid that I drank the other day.
And then
It's all ours, Blondie. And Noose again.
oh no.
We're about to get this scene coming up now, where he puts him on a cross, so he's teetering, and he rides away, leaving him like that.
You kidding, Blondie?
Can you believe we've gone through a movie almost 3 hours long?
No.
And
No.
we've it's almost over, and that was 3 hours long.
But such a great movie.
Now that's a movie with no fat on it. A movie 3 hours long that doesn't feel like 3 hours long.
Yeah. Now I wish I could get Mrs. Ralph to appreciate this movie as much as I do. She's just not a Eastwood fan, not a fan of Westerns, but yes, this is one of my favorites. Probably my favorite Western.
I mean, for me, it is a choice between this and Fistful of Dollars and My Name Is Nobody.
Yeah.
There you go.
But I have to say this wins out because it's an epic,
Yeah, and believe me, whenever Westerns come up, it's always Good, Bad, Ugly, Fistful of Dollars for a few dollars more. Those are always my top 3. Now I will give you High Plains Drifter, Pale Rider, Unforgiven. Still, I mean, basically Eastwood is the cowboy for me.
Yeah.
But isn't it strange how it took the Italians to make the quintessential Western?
Yeah, it really is.
They looked at it from the outside and reinterpreted it, and and reinvented it.
Well, I don't know. Sometimes you would think, like you said, or like I think you were leading to, Hollywood being Hollywood, you would think that they would be the ones that would have the budget, have the ability, have the expertise to do this.
I don't think Hollywood really speaks for the American soul.
Not anymore. Absolutely not.
I mean, America was formed out of risk and out of venture and out of gunfights and out of pioneers and all these different things. And Hollywood doesn't represent any of that.
No. Now it's unfortunately, America suffers from the problem of easy living. When you get comfortable, you become selfish. You start making, you start making poor decisions because you've got spare time on your hands to infight and worry about things that aren't important.
He's actually left the goal from there. But there's a way he's trying to struggle and say blood, and he can't really say it because he's worried if he slips, he'll hang himself.
Yeah, when he really yelled, he almost went off.
And this is where he's almost dead, and he turns back. And you know when he says him from because he's just getting distance from him, because he knows as soon as Tuco gets that goal, he'll shoot him.
Oh yeah,
that's why he's doing this, to get a safe distance. And he's all the way over there. And he comes back. Gets off his
and it also leaves that impression of like, don't double cross me again because I'll do this again.
And he's smiling as he does it as well. Gets the sights up.
Yeah, brings up the sight for the long range.
Rested on his arm. Gets comfortable. Breathe in. Don't breathe out.
Yeah, I'm trying.
There we go. And it's right at the end where it says the ugly.
The ugly, yes.
The
bad. The good.
Well, see, he is good because he's the only character that shows mercy.
All right, Raymond, if you're still in the chat hanging with us, I'd like to know, is Eastwood's rifle a Henry rifle or what model we got? I'm thinking Henry, but I don't think it's lever action. I think it's single shot. But correct me if I'm wrong.
This is a bit right at the end where he swears and the covers up what he said.
Yes.
You son of a gun, IMDb.
You are.
You know what you are.
Son of a perfection.
Yes.
Absolute perfection. Look at that area of Spain there. It's
beautiful. And there again, it looks like California. So it's not
yeah, absolutely.
With like the high desert, spotty treed hills.
And that's the beauty of California, because I'm sorry, I hate the politics of the state, but the countryside is gorgeous.
Yeah.
And you've got so many different areas. Northern California being so much different, so you can go from green, lush woodlands all the way down to desert, like what when you get into the Mojave, like Death Valley and stuff.
State, though. I mean, California is a huge state. I mean, it's
yes.
as big as Britain. California, the land area is as big as my country.
Yeah, very, very large state.
So, and he certainly made up for it with the trumpets at the end there, anyhow. So, and the end, or finito if it was in Italian.
There you go.
3-hour-long movie. So amazing. Absolutely amazing. So, any thoughts?
Just absolutely love this movie. Hang on, I'm going to stop my copy so I can talk. One of the things that I wanted to point out that was going through my mind that stood out to me is hit my mic. Every single character in this movie was flawed. You know, there's no good guy, bad guy. Everybody, it's all gray. They're just trying to get through life. And so, it's just great. Love the movie.
It changed the Western forever.
It did.
Yeah.
Some really good knowledge from Raymond again. He got a single shot Sharps 1874, which is made to look like the 1865 model.
Boom. Nice. Thank you.
Cool, but it's made to look like a contemporaneous 65 model from that period.
Yeah.
Obviously, 65 end of the Civil War.
And I can't remember. I think the Sharps rifle was what the Union Army or the U.S. Army started using after the Civil War. Like, for example, when Custer's Last Stand, they were using single shot rifles such as that.
Right.
So, at least they'd gotten up to cartridges then. So you could pop a cartridge in, take a shot, throw out the empty casing and another cartridge in.
Mm-hmm. They didn't have replaceable magazines, but they had cartridges though.
Yeah, but they're on the flip side, they're using single shot sharps, and a lot of the Indians they were up against had Winchester lever action rifles with, I believe it's seven, eight, 7 rounds in the tube. So they were very
they
much
had bow and
outgunned.
arrow, which was like semi-auto.
Oh yeah. The bows and arrows could put out much faster, but still.
There's a really good video. I forget the guy's name, but he's an archery guy, and he did the test because there was the people doubted that the Comanche could be so effective from horseback.
Oh, okay,
and he actually did it where they would lean on the side of their horse while firing the bow and still be accurate and quick, like faster than a single action shot.
Oh yeah, far.
Yeah.
But anyway, love the movie, and I thank you so much for inviting me in on this. Fantastic.
It's a good one. This is probably one of the finest movies ever made, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Not just one of the finest spaghetti westerns, but really, where would cinema be without this movie? Where would cinema be without spaghetti western? But where would it be without this movie? So, any thoughts, Flash?
Just amazing. I mean, you said it. Like this is the game changer.
Absolutely.
It's like the first modern movie. Really, it's like I think the Bond movies were like the first like new blockbuster where you said like where music was a character. But this is like the first where it's like it all came together, and this is what movies are going to look like from now on. Even the way the characters are portrayed is more gray than good or bad.
Indeed, I think we've lost something since these movies were made. I think we've gone backwards. I think we've gone back to cookie cutter. It's really strange. This began the leap away from that. Yeah. And now we've kind of gone back to that. Yeah, I mean, there was a close working relationship between Sergio Leone and Ennio Morricone, and Sergio Leone was very aware that the soundtrack was the narrator for the movie, and like we said earlier, much of this movie comes through the facial expressions, the eyes, the visual, the portrayal of the visual scene, the soundtrack, the themes in the soundtrack are telling you things. And in that respect, it harks back to, it harks all the way back through our narrative history, back through to the troubadours, and all the way back through to the sort of like primitive storytelling which involved dance and music. There's something primeval about it, but I really believe we've lost a lot of this in the modern cinema. It's a shame, really. But these movies still stand as a mark as a high tide mark.
Well, and this movie, you can put it up against any movie that comes out today, and it stands to. I can't think of any reason why it wouldn't stand up to anything that Hollywood at the top tier could turn out. And I wanted to say, you were talking about the cookie cutter movies, and that reminds me of I read an interview with Quentin Tarantino, and he talked about late 60s cinema, how when certain directors, actors, and stuff would put a movie out, that it was an event. And he said, you just don't have that anymore, where people are like, oh, such and such director is working on a project, and everybody's excited to find out what it is. And,
and that's all part and parcel of the culture we live in now, which is this conformist, zealous, policing, censorious culture, where the last thing that's going to happen is anything new. But yeah, I mean, the creativity is the first thing to go, and but one thing we can be sure of, and as we pay tribute to Ennio Morricone, we have this tremendous, huge legacy of work by a real artist, who
yeah.
Contributed to he contributed to the human soul, and he left an indelible mark. And we have this, even though he's passed, we have this tremendous work to remind us of the fantastic creativity that we're capable of, and we can enjoy that despite currently the arts being not where we want them to be, and we can celebrate that this partnership between a composer and a director produced some of the finest movies ever. And it's not just the spaghetti westerns. Morricone went on to do many other soundtracks, and there's many other movies that he did soundtracks for, and he was always sought for the best movies, like The Mission, for instance, which is an amazing movie. And other movies like, even something like Untouchables, I don't particularly rate. Goodness me, I've just forgotten his name. As an actor, I think I'm not too sure of him, but I mean the movie Untouchables as a movie is an amazing movie, and it's made all the better by the soundtrack that it has. And even finding out that Morricone did the soundtrack for The Thing, which again is an incredible movie.
Oh yes, absolutely.
So a huge varied palette as well. He wasn't just sticking to westerns. He wasn't shy to go into any genre, and bring his talent there. And I mean, people have a mixed view of Quentin Tarantino, but and I've seen The Hateful Eight, and I'm not too sure. There's some scenes in it which are good, but some other scenes which I'm thinking, where are you going with this? And
yeah,
it seems very
direct. He's the one that likes to tell and not show as well.
Yeah,
he likes to hear his own words, and all his characters sound like him.
Exactly. So I'm not. I really. It could have been a lot better than it was. There's some of it which I really like, but but
honestly, his movies are so monotone. I get very bored watching them. After about 30 minutes, I'm out because people are like, "Oh, he's such a great writer." It's like, you're calling him a great writer because he drops F-bombs every 2 seconds and he loves the N-word.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it's like, he's a terrible writer because he has one voice, and every character is the exact same character. It's like, great writers are people that can write in 3 different voices.
Exactly. And I think what I was going to say was one of the few things which are good about that movie is the soundtrack.
Yeah.
The fact that despite what was happening in the movie, the
cinematography is good too.
The cinematography is good, but the fact that Ennio Morricone was faithful to the very best that he could. And this is a guy who was, El Maestro. He was a master at what he did.
Mm-hmm.
And, so, I mean, this man has passed, and we'll never see anybody like him, but we can celebrate the legacy of work that he's left behind.
Well, and I think part of what makes him a maestro is, like you talked about, him not being afraid to try to branch out with things. I'm sorry, Untouchables. The Thing, as well as this. You mentioned playing it safe in Hollywood, and the thing is when you play it safe, you can put out, good movies, but to make a masterpiece, you have to be able to put yourself out there, go beyond your comfort zone and try things that are uncomfortable, unsafe.
Exactly.
Well, when you're safe, you put out movies that are enjoyable in the moment, and then you completely forget about them a day later.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. It was the great 90 minutes. So I was happy for 90 minutes.
I can many movies in the past couple of years, I can just remember leaving the theater and be like, I don't remember a thing I saw.
Yeah.
Or I didn't, when you see a good movie, you talk about it when you leave.
Yeah.
And now even if it's a good one, it's more serviceable than good, because you leave and you're like, well, I've kind of forgotten it because it's so cookie cutter. It's every other movie.
Yeah. You either remember the really great movies or the movies that were so terrible that they're their own experience.
Yeah, because you're rolling it over in your mind, aren't you? You're rolling the narrative over in your mind, and you're questioning, if this had happened, what had happened then, and is that plausible? And what happens how about if this happened differently? And you're really getting involved in the narrative and the structure of the narrative. But I mean, that rarely happens today, because who would bother to be invested in a narrative which requires no thought and also instigates no form of contention or, I suppose, for want of a better word, it doesn't upset you in any way.
Well, I mean, yeah, and from the artistic side, do I want to put my time of 3 or 4 or 5 years of an idea into a product that once it's filmed is going to go before whoever the funders are, and then they're going to film their own version?
Right. Yeah.
Where now, like you have the Marvel movies, for example, which are all funded by China. So everything that happens in that movie has to go through Red China's censorship board before it's allowed to be released. And it's like, even if you have artistic vision, it's like, do I want to put that on screen? Because no one's going to see it.
Yeah, and I'm really conscious of that now. And there was a couple of movies I saw. I mean, I saw Justice League the other day, and I must admit that was such a mediocre movie, and it was barely watchable, to the point that they knew the basic formula points that they had to hit to keep you watching. It was like the bare minimum to keep you watching.
Yes.
And so I got through it, but you have it's such an anticlimax, because you get through the movie and it's like, well, it's like junk food.
Yes.
It's empty calories.
Empty calories. It provides the bare minimum. You come away from it thinking, I got nothing out of that.
You're still hungry.
Exactly.
That was all MSG and no substance.
You're hungry 2 hours later.
And you see, with this movie we just watched now, you can savor it. You can remember the taste of the steak. You can remember the taste of the potato chips, or the the fries, sorry, that you call them. And, and you walk away from it thinking, wow, that was different, that was special. It's like when you go to a restaurant, you go because you that person cooks food better than you, and they do different than you. You don't go to a restaurant to get food that you can cook at home. And this is what junk food is. Junk food is something which is just loads of sugar and salt and fat, and this is what today's culture has become. It's just junk food culture. And it leaves you with nothing but a sour taste in your mouth, whereas what we've just watched now is something you can savor and it stays with you.
Well, I keep the faith that that there will be up and coming directors, actors, composers who will go back to the source classics, and they will put their own out. And just like in the spaghetti westerns, they had to go to Europe to escape the notes that you get from Hollywood. Now, assuming that people can continue to have open platforms, you have the talent out there and the tools out there available for more people to independently make their visions come to life.
I was about to say that. How really cheap it is to make a quality movie right now. If you have creativity, you can make, if you're creative, have a little bit of artistic talent, and say, 10 people that'll help you, you can make a movie that's 5 times better than the Avengers with $20.
I mean, given current circumstances, and we won't dwell on that, but given current circumstances, and the fact that we've seen a lot happen because of social media, we've seen the fact that a lot of Hollywood has revealed its dirty backsides as its ripped backsides as Velvet Underground would say, the fact that we've seen that, and also the way that it is made to a committee to please the governments in other countries and regimes elsewhere. It's nothing to do with the American soul or the American culture or the American geist. I really believe the best thing that would happen would be for Hollywood to die completely.
Well, and that ties in pretty well with Raymond's last comment. He just posted one.
I mean, basically, it's the idea that we've got to that stage now where foreign powers have a say in entertainment is bizarre.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I think Hollywood needs to die, as far as the industry it is now, and I'm hoping that it's done through, capitalistic measures where people just say, "Look, we've had enough of you," and they move on. Do like Flash mentioned, the independent,
Well, I mean,
the
look at
path.
like honestly the best. Like if you say like the superhero genre that's so big right now, the best stuff I've seen has been fan films.
Oh yeah, there's been some great fan films of stuff.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Like something like a Western is hard because it's very expensive because of the costumes and the guns and all of that stuff. But
the sci-fi you can make as you go along, can't you?
Sci-fi is much easier because there's miniatures and your props or whatever you can dream of and stuff you can find. But
there's
Westerns, I mean, that's why Westerns really did die off because they are very expensive.
Yeah.
But they're still expensive because unless you have, the resources of like a reenactor group or something, you're in trouble. But
yeah, now that brings up a great point, Pete. Flash, you guys should beat the bushes and find some of your friends that are independent filmmakers where we can watch their videos live with them, with us. And I think that would be a lot of fun.
That'll be a good direction to explore. I actually thought as well for a moment that once again, Flash was talking about Adventures in the Phantom Zone again.
Oh yeah, there you go. I would say something about bringing my friends out, but I don't have any.
But, I think definitely. If more people were aware of the difference between a popcorn movie, which is junk food, and something which is real high art, which is culture, which is not something that you have to struggle with, but something which you can really enjoy, and really you come away from it thinking, I'm glad I spent my time.
Well, like the modern movie in recent years that people still talk about, and it still sells out theaters when they replay it, is Mad Max Fury Road.
Because it's based
very much, it's all operatic. It's all based on like silent film and showing and not telling. It's very universal storytelling because it's all imagery. And it's like, and people still talk about it. And it was a shock to people's system because you got to figure there's like 2 generations that have never seen anything like
the original Mad Max. So yeah, and this is the thing. I mean,
or even seen like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. They don't know about that kind of storytelling. So to them, it was like, what's going on? My mind has been blown. I smell burnt toast.
Yeah, exactly. It's a difference, but like you said, showing and telling, and it's a difference between being exposed to, for want of a better word, which is what's happening with cinema now. Cinema is not just becoming obviously dumbed down and corporatized and subject to foreign powers. And
I think the prime example of that is that we have a Captain America who's never punched a Nazi.
Yeah, but we also got the fact that it's very political as well. It's used to convey. I think personally, it's used to convey an attitude of complacency and conformity. I really believe that cinema is now at the place where it preaches conformity and complacency, and there's very little. Very little that makes you think. So, but what we do,
people complain about it all the time. Like they're like, oh, they're whitewashing everything. It's like, well, yeah, because certain political powers want it that way because they don't, like with Doctor Strange, they don't want you to see Tibet.
Oh, right, yeah.
So they had to change everybody to anything but Asian looking.
Yeah, true.
And like I said, they were afraid they would hurt the German investors. So Captain America in World War II never fights a Nazi.
Well, this is where small independent movie producers and directors will come in, and I think perhaps we'll get to that stage because certainly
we will, because it's like it's inevitable. I mean, it's like as long as the desire is there to do it and the creativity, it can happen. Because like YouTube is a great platform, and there's probably millions of indie productions that are amazing, like little short films. Like I said, we have the we have the home computer. It's the big reason that Steven Spielberg and George Lucas petitioned Congress to ban home computers, because they knew that was the future of filmmaking and they would be out of a job.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And to some extent they are.
Yeah.
Why do people hate the new Star Wars movies? Easy, because they can make it at home and make it better.
Yeah, and there is tremendous access to material and media, so there's never been a better time. But in the meantime, I suppose we should hope that a young generation of writers and creative people get access to these movies. And what we do on this channel is we highlight these movies, because we're not just saying we appreciate them, and people of our generation remember them and really enjoy these movies. But at the same time, we hope that we're reaching a new audience. We hope that we're highlighting these movies to people who've never seen them before. And on that note, I thank you once again to both Ralph and Flash for your company and your time. I really appreciate the time you spent, and it's been a special time watching this fantastic movie and celebrating this incredible film, which there's not many movies like this, and it speaks to the sort of the condition of manhood as well, doesn't it? It speaks to what it is to be a man as well, which you're not allowed to talk about these days. And also, we say thank you to everybody who joined us in the chat, and everybody, meaning that we talk about the people who popped in, like Cosmeti and Jess, Falling in Destiny, and we also say thank you for people like Brian and also Philip, but of course as well Raymond, who we haven't seen yet, who's been a great contributor to this show with lots of very specific knowledge, incredible knowledge.
Our IMDb of guns, Raymond.
Yeah,
absolutely. Excellent.
Absolutely. Excellent knowledge. And of course, we say thank you to all the people who will watch this movie recorded. And we appreciate the fact that we have all of this interest. And, we look forward to future shows. And of course, Ralph as well has started his own channel now. So we'll be doing some movie watches on that show as well.
Yeah. Mine will be more lowbrow humor. But
what's the name of your channel on YouTube, Ralph?
It is you can find me by searching for They Call Me Ralph.
Yep, and you've already got a Strange Brew movie watch live show on there.
Yeah,
it was beauty, eh?
Yes, beauty, eh? Filled with technical difficulties, eh? But we'll iron things out as we go.
Well, technical difficulties are always there.
Yes, indeed.
And of course, you've got the Teespring site as well.
Yeah. So that is teespring.com/stores/ They Call Me Ralph.
Great.
And you can find me on Twitter at New Random Geek. And I'm also on Parler at They Call Me Ralph.
There we go. And finally, Flash, who's writing a book about corn. And
it will be a coffee table photography book called Cornography.
Oh my gosh, please get Madonna to write the foreword.
Yeah, I'm hoping, because as much as I love Madonna, I think I love her more now that she is a old Korean woman.
Yes.
Who bathes in roses and cries about quarantine.
Her transformation is complete.
Now, of course, all contributions to Flash will help to keep his Labrador, 19-year-old Labrador, in Monster Drink. Is that right?
Miss Jezebel, who survives on Great Monster Energy Drink. This is how she got to be 19 and a half years old.
I believe your dog and I have a lot in common then.
But you can be followed on Instagram. What's the Instagram address?
Yeah, it's elrod.elrod, all lowercase.
And are you
I do need to post like a million things on there at this point, probably.
Yeah, and are you ever going to start auctioning your work that you do for Drawn and Quartered and things like that?
I probably will. I need to, because otherwise I'll end up with a giant stack of useless paper.
Yeah, get on that stuff, man.
The stuff I'm doing on paper, the things that aren't the dry erase board, are kind of stack up pretty quick.
Okay, take a note from Van Gogh. Don't hoard it all so it's only worthwhile after you're dead.
Yeah, you know,
Get it
luckily
out
the
now.
floors in my area are not as beautiful as lovely 18th century women.
The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep and
Yeah,
miles to go before I sleep.
no open air wine bars or huas that are worth looking at. So I'll keep both ears at least.
Well, that's true. I'll go to a hookah bar and get my inspiration.
Well, there's another fantastic movie, isn't it? The Agony and the Ecstasy with Kirk Douglas.
Kirk Douglas.
And
cutting off my ear.
We were going
giving it to a hoa.
Well, he only took the little part of his ear off the bottom, not the whole ear. That's
yeah.
But all the same, it was a bit far-fetched. But
it was pretty intense.
Yeah, a little bit. Maybe a little bit bipolar. Who knows?
Slight.
But there's a lot of lead in that paint, and like every artist, he probably licked his brushes.
Yeah, exactly. That'll be in it. But I mean, we were going to do a Paths to Glory movie watch a while back, but we cancelled that because obviously with everything that happened, people needed something.
Yeah, it's a tough watch. It is. It's great. It is beautiful, but yeah, it hits home. It still holds up. Yeah.
So, I mean, we'll have a think about the next movie. I mean, it might be a nice idea to go back to the start and watch A Fistful of Dollars. And
I would be on board with that.
And what we could do, we could go two routes. We could either go Fistful of Dollars, a few dollars more, and then we could watch this movie again, or we could go a different route and we could do. My name is Nobody. We could do Yojimbo. Then we could do Fistful of Dollars. Then we could do Last Man Standing.
Oh, that'd be interesting. Yeah.
It's another way of doing it. We could look at all the different genres and cultures that have retold the same story.
Oh, we'll have to kick that around. I like those ideas.
So who knows? There's a lot of different ways we could go. But once again, thank you to everybody, and thank you to everybody who's watched tonight. And if I haven't said thank you to anybody, I'm really sorry.
Eventually, we'll solve my grand conspiracy that Dolomite is somehow connected to Fistful of Dollars.
Oh, that could be. Hey, and here's an idea for anyone watching in the chat. After the fact that didn't get a chance to watch it live, leave suggestions down in the comments. We'd be happy to read them and mull over, ideas that you all have. What would you like to see?
Exactly, and we are getting up market now. I now have a subscription version of StreamYard, so I'm able to do.
That's right. We is moving on up, folks.
So I'm able to put little gifts and things in, like headphones, Eastwood.
Oh yeah.
So we hope everybody enjoyed the show. I certainly did, and I really appreciate the guests I've had today, Ralph and Flash, and the guests, the fans we've had in the chat, and everybody who'll be watching recorded. Thank you very much to everyone for tonight. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we look forward to the next one. And with that, hasta la vista. See you later.
Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Good night.